Woo woo. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. We are about to get ready to paint things, and now I'm just setting up the usual stuff that I always do right before our feed. I'm gonna try something new because I know nobody's really tuning in around this time. Let's see what happens if I go to live control room here on YouTube, on the YouTubes, and see if I can just public view. That doesn't. None of this helps. I want to see what the. I want to see what the. I just want a way to read comments without having to have the whole a whole other window with YouTube going, because I'm just worried about like eating up bandwidth or whatever. So I don't even know if that if my solution makes sense or not, or my theory here that I'm losing bandwidth by doing this, but I feel like I am. Like it could be unfairly contributing to the lag, and that's what I don't want. So anyway, so it'll take a few minutes. This show always starts off real kind of slow like this, where I have to work with stuff to try to make it work. Okay, screen share. Yeah. So I'm trying to get the chat to show without losing too much of my stream. There we go. David O'Connell is on the chat. He says, hi. Hey, what's up, David? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in as always. We'll get into what I'm painting tonight here in just a minute. Once I fix this whole window situation. Corey's tuning in. He says, hey, what's up? What's going on, Corey? Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See, there's like a critical size here. There we go. It's just going to have to be that size. Kind of a bummer, but whatever. All right. So there we go. I've got the chat window open, and I've got my live stream open here on this window. So now we can start. Okay. So here's my messy painting table at the moment. And I'll show you what is here so that I can remove it, and we can talk about what we show what we're actually going to paint tonight. Okay, so anyway, let's see if I can pan up a little bit. So what you guys are looking at here are various bits of Ninja All-Stars. This is Clan Aijin, I believe. This is the Void Clan for Ninja All-Stars. It's also Clan. Whoa. I just knocked the thing. It is the, for me, this is the 6th named clan that I am working on. So I've been working my way through the entire set of the named clans for Ninja All-Stars. I haven't painted any of the shrine teams because, frankly, I think it's a waste of time. I'm not going to paint a shrine team that you're only really going to use in demos. So I've been painting this Aijin clan. There's a little, what are these called? The Kunochis. So here's a Kunochi for that. They're like demon. This reminds me of like No Empire for Relic Knights, or you could call these like dark elf looking minis. But they're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool looking clan. You can see I've just done some airbrushing and just a few of the base colors on it. This is their Chunin. So these are definitely work in progress. I'm going to try to get them done for Saturday's event. So that's why they're on the table. I've been kind of grinding away at these, and this kind of painting for Ninja All-Stars is a little grueling because it's kind of grindy. There's one of their ranged characters. They have 2 of those. Here's one of the named characters. He looks like Akuma from Street Fighter. So you can see this is going to be a fun one to paint. They're regular ninja, or they call them Kaiken. I am sticking with, I don't know, I may go back in and do white eyes with red sockets, but I think that's fine. Black eyes, black on black. I don't care. I don't care. They're cool looking. They're supposed to look shadowy. Get 3 of those Kaiken. You get 3 of these Kunoichi. And then this is the Oni, which are the coolest looking parts of that. Like, these are really cool looking. I'm a big fan of these. So that's going to be fun when they're done. I think these are, like, of the Oni, by far, these might be the coolest looking ones. Here's their Madoshi, which is like their spellcaster, essentially. And you get 2 of these. I really like these like Oni looking masks. 2 of those and these, and then they get, so here's their other named character. Really cool, kind of dual wielding baseball bat type thing. So there's that. Okay. So now we're not going to paint any of that stuff tonight. It's just too grueling. It's just, you guys would sit here for 2 hours watch me paint a single color. We're not doing that. And I know people have asked me if they want to watch the process anyway. So we might do that at another point, but tonight I just can't do it, guys. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to do something a little more interesting. And I'm gonna ask for your help here as far as what I should paint tonight, or what approach I should paint tonight. Okay, so I have right here, I have a and we're talking now, we're over back at Guild Ball again. Wow, look at the eyes on this guy. Whoa, looks like it's got squirrel fish. Look at the big old eyes poking out at you. So this is Blackheart. And if I paint Blackheart, we got to fix his eyes. That's for sure. Like, this guy's had way too much coffee. Look at that. Look at the coffee. He's drinking too much, man. He's had too many espressos. And then I have Gutter here. Okay. I've already painted Decimate because I was eager to get Decimate on the board. I didn't actually end up gaming yet this week. It's kind of driving me insane. So I've got Gutter. And so of the starter, I've got, of what remains of the starter, I have the Guild Ball, I have Gutter, and I have Blackheart. Okay. Now, eventually, I am going to paint them all. They're all going to be ready to go by Saturday. But tonight, I'm wondering, do you guys want me to concentrate in on one of the models, or should I just try to work on both at the same time? Because I am going to paint them to the same palette. It's just a matter of, do you guys want to see me concentrate on one, or should I bounce back and forth and work on both models? So let me know in the comments. I'm going to continue setting up to get painted here, get painting. And we're gonna get this underway. So I need black, gray. Need my brushes. Paint there, and I'm gonna show. So tonight I'm eating Engine 2. I'm gonna Engine 2 Plant Strong chips from Whole Foods. These are like whole grains. These are like healthy chips. And this is sweet potato and cinnamon. And here's what the chips look like. And they look okay, right? You know, I'm trying to do myself a solid and not eat the junk food. And they smell really good. They do. They smell really good, but it tastes like cardboard. No lie, it tastes like cardboard. I'm not really feeling those chips. I don't know what to do. I might have to switch to some real potato chips at some point tonight. I might crack. You guys can hold me accountable and let me know. So anyways, let's see, Gutter or both. If you're using the same palette, wouldn't it be easier to do both? All good points. Yes, it would. It would be easier to do both. So I may have to. So if I'm going to do both, let's fix squirrel eyes over here. Let's We got to calm this dude down. Okay, so let's bring the camera in a little bit. See if I can get some adequate lighting this way. There we go. It's good lighting that way, but man, now I can't really work. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better lighting. I can't really work like that. I'm like, I have to do it that way. Okay. I think it's casting. The problem is the camera itself is casting the shadow. So if I do it like that, that's a little bit better. All right. So let's fix the face on Blackheart. Then we can work on a little bit of skin. And then we'll just continue on the color palette. So these have only just been dry brushed and then did the eyeballs and then a single base coat of the skin. Oh, I bought some new paints. We got to try out our new paints. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hold on one sec. Where are my new paints? Gotta find it. What did I do with them? No. One sec, guys. Be right back. Okay. So see, since I went into the other room, now I can show you the devil side. Like, so those are the healthy chips. But check this out. Here's what Jose got me the other week, or this week. Sriracha kettle cooked potato chips. Holy crap. They're amazing. They're amazing. And they're not the ripoff sriracha. They're the actual sriracha. I'm gonna save those for my wife though. I'm gonna be a good husband. I'm not gonna eat those, even though they're in the room, sitting with me. I'm super excited about them. I'm gonna eat the stupid cardboard chips and be a good guy. That's the plan. Okay. What else do we got? So here's a few things I picked up the other day because I needed them. I really need a skin color that's going to be smoother for me. I've been having texture issues, so I'm going to try this out. Pale Flesh from Vallejo Game Color. And then I have a red. Always good to have a gory red undercoat. I also picked up some Hordes 3-inch AoE tokens because you need those, especially alchemists. You need 3-inch AoEs. And then finally, I picked up this, which is fantastic. This is a P3 pinning set, and specifically the 0.85 millimeter pinning set. So this is the really, really tiny stuff. It's much more narrow than your paper clips. So this is going to be perfect for pinning Guild Ball, pinning toes into bases, because that's what Guild Ball is. So anyway, I'm gonna get this started. Actually, whoever wants to hop on the feed. Well, I'm gonna do a couple of things. One, I'm gonna post the feed on SoCal Guild Ball. And then we're going to send some stuff out to people that may be interested in joining the feed. Okay, so let's see. So here's that. So if you are interested in joining the live feed, I'll send you the Hangout link here. How come it's taking me so long just to sit down and paint? Maybe I'm putting it off. I don't know. Let's see. There we go. Let's do send that one. And whoever else wants in. There we go. So I sent a few people invitation to the feed, and we'll see who pops on. All right. So anybody else need to pop on? Nah, we're doing all right. All right. Okay. Pinning Mist broke me. Pinning Mist just pointed out a glaring gap in my equipment setup, which is I don't have the level of that gauge of pin that I need to really address Guild Ball models. So yeah, in a way it did break me, but also it showed me the ways I do need to keep just a more narrow pinning scheme. Hey, what's up, old fox? G'day. So take some of this heavy skin tone, and we're gonna fix Blackheart's eyeballs. They're just a little just way too big. Actually, you don't do it with this color. You do it with the black gray. So we're gonna have to reframe his eyes. I'm gonna have to do this out of frame. Actually, I don't necessarily. I could bring the whole thing in. You guys could sit right there, I suppose, and watch me do this kind of work. Pretty intricate work here. I've got to find the eyeball brush. Here we go. All right. So eyeball brush. All right. So the idea is we're just gonna really just kind of close off the edge there. Yeah, you can't even. What am I doing? You guys can't even see that. It's the shadow. You guys can't even see what I'm doing. Why don't I just do it off camera and get it right, and then bring you guys back in? How do you think? What do you think? What do you think? All right. There's one. And yeah, well, he's a little too squirrely. A little too Marty Feldman right there. For you old guys who know who Marty Feldman is. Maybe old Fox knows who Marty Feldman is. I had Marty Feldman eye on Blackbeard here, so I'm gonna take it in a bit. Everybody else may be furiously Googling Marty Feldman to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so took the eyes in quite. Now he looks like he's just wearing way too much guy liner. Nice. I'm gonna have to get that shadow out of here. Just like, what's the shadow? What's throwing? Oh, the shadow is actually the camera itself. But yeah. Okay, so now it looks like he's got too much eyeliner. So let's fix that with the heavy skin tone. Yeah, well, young Frankenstein. Good catch there, David. And we're gonna add a little flow improver. David, you always get that messed up emoji, man. Like, what is that? It looks like someone took a regular emoji and sat on it. Not sure what that what that emoji is. It's just funny. It's like mediocre emoji. Like, not kind of, man, I'm kind of happy, but I don't know. All right, so now we're gonna take this heavy skin tone and we're just gonna shape the eyes. So, man, see, it's just the shadow. It's this placement. There we go. That's actually better. That's better for you. It's worse for me because I gotta duck my head under this this thing here to paint. Okay. So the title of tonight's program is Getting Ready for Esports Arena. That's going to be the event this weekend. And it's pretty cool. We're kind of making a big deal out of it, all right? Because this is going to be the first officially sponsored Steamforged event that I know of being run in Southern California. And so it's kind of a big deal, and it's an unusual event. It's a unique event. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know what's going on, Esports Arena is exactly what it sounds like. This is a facility in downtown Orange County that is built specifically for esports and e-gaming. Okay, so the giant League of Legends tournament. Think like Counter-Strike and all that stuff. So they're doing an event called Collegiate Coliseum. Okay, and Collegiate Coliseum is just a giant collegiate level tournament for these types of games. And I was tapped as one of the guys to do some tabletop gaming for them. So so I was asked to host some miniature gaming specifically because my contact Jesse has known me for a while. He knows that I like to host miniature gaming things, and I said, okay, well, what do you want me to host? And he said, you can pick whatever you want, as long as it's something that you think would be cool, streamed on Twitch. And obviously, Guild Ball came to mind because, and I'd been watching a lot of Guild Ball battle reports on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, this is a great miniatures game for the video match report. Just the way that the game, the aesthetic of the game, the fact that it's not very many pieces, it's easy enough to follow along most of the time with so few pieces out there, and base mechanics being understood by just about anyone who's tried it. And it's a sports game, so covering sports game on something like Twitch, to me, just seems like a natural fit. So that's what we're doing this weekend. Is Saturday we're going to be hosting a officially sponsored Steamforged tournament for Guild Ball. Then on Sunday we're gonna me and Talon are gonna hang out, and we're gonna do some exhibition games, and whoever else comes back will be awesome just to play some exhibition games. Okay, so I don't know who joined the feed.
I did.
But oh, hey, what's up, Corey?
Hey.
Let me see if I can get. I'm going to send out one more link. I owe one more person a link to see if they're going to hop on. So let's see. Oh, doing this totally wrong. Okay. There we go. Great. So now okay. So I sent Mark a link as well. So let's see. Sounds awesome. Thanks, Old Fox. So yeah, that's the event. We're going to be running Guild Ball. Like I said, an officially sponsored event on Saturday. Corey's going to be one of the guys playing. So good luck in advance, Corey.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Sunday is going to be an exhibition game. In addition to this, I'm also going to be running some ninja stuff because, hey, still love my ninja division too. So I'll be running Super Dungeon Explorer both Saturday and Sunday. I got some friends helping me run those while I'm running the Guild Ball tournament. And we're going to run Super Dungeon. We're going to run more SDE on Sunday. And then we're also going to run some Ninja All-Stars on Sunday, which should be interesting because I really, really haven't played the whole Ninja All-Stars thing yet. So I got to learn it. So there's that. All right. So anyway, Corey, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us what you're working on?
I am currently working on Gaz.
Okay, so you're working on your Morticians. Is this going to be the team that you're playing on Saturday?
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
So slowly but surely,
Go ahead and talk again. I kind of want to see it.
I've got a majority of them done. Gas will be my number 6. So I've got currently my roster is Obulus. So this is him. And then after Obulus, I have the bird, of course, because I have to play with the bird.
Yep.
And then I'm playing with Rage because he is stupid good.
Nice.
Silence. Okay. And then currently I have Cosset done. So she'll be my number. She's currently number 5. She's more like number 6 on my roster because I've been playing with Casket a lot recently. And Casket time is just really good, especially if you kill their captain.
Okay.
And then happen to have the card that says if you kill the captain, you get 2 more influence at the start of the turn.
Nice.
Yeah, I did that last night in the game, and it was pretty dumb how it worked. Basically, Silence pulls the people that have the fancy dodge out of the way, the operational movement.
Yeah.
So I was playing against the Masons last night, and Honor is the captain, correct?
Yep, Honor's the captain.
Basically, she has the one that says if you end your movement within her melee range, she just makes a free attack against you before you get to attack. So to get around that, I basically just had Obvious go, and I had basically 4 of the people in like this circle, and I basically pulled his model. I basically made his model move into my melee zones, and then basically knocked her down. She couldn't get up and run away because that was like if he didn't go with her first, she was gonna die either way. So basically, he had no momentum to spend. So I went first, had Obvious go, pull her in, beat the crap out of her, and knocked her down so she couldn't run away. And then he had no way to stand her up, so he kind of just like skipped her activation. And then I had Casket go, did Casket time, and I think he was rolling like 9 dice, needing 2. So basically ended up killing her, taking out the captain for two turns is pretty huge. So
yeah, especially Masons because their captain she's like the point guard. She runs quite a bit of that show.
Yeah,
it's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb how they just get around a lot of all the crap that everyone else can do, like getting all like the unpredictable movements. Like I did it on the other night too with his their main scorer for the Brewers, the big guy that has unpredictable movement. I forget his name, but basically pulled him into me and he couldn't get away because I was already there. Like I didn't have to move to him.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty messed up what Morticians can do.
Yeah, they can do a lot of dumb stuff. To come to understand this after a little bit, they do a lot of dumb things.
Yeah. So you use a lot of Obulus in trying to separate players out from their safety zone.
Yeah.
And then beat the crap out of them essentially.
Yeah, basically what I've kind of been doing is I've been kind of going for like a later game scoring technique where I try to take out a couple models, if possible, and then basically I use Obulus, the Puppet Master himself, to get up the board. So like he'll end up picking up the ball, or like if they score the goal, I usually have Obulus go if he hasn't gone already and try to get to the ball because he'll just Puppet Master himself. Basically, I figure out he's got like an 18-inch threat range with the ball, so he can be on the other side of the pitch and just basically score in a turn if he's close enough.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, Obulus is definitely irritating and terrifying at the same time. So, Obulus kind of running the show there. Who would you say are like the main guys for you for your Mortician team?
Number 2 is probably Ghast.
Okay. Yeah, Ghast is annoying.
Ghast is really annoying because it's either you deal with them or you just can never deal with them. So you either have to like focus on getting rid of them as soon as you possibly can, or you just have to ignore them. Because the second he takes damage, I get momentum for it, and then like people don't realize like, well, I'm going to charge him this turn, and they only allocate 2 influence to him, and I go, well, I guess you're not charging him because it's going to cost 3 for the first attack.
Right.
So I like. I mean, I'm reading some articles, and if I'm kicking off, he's the first one. Like he kicks the ball, even though he's only like a 1/6 for a kick. Like I get him up the middle of the field, and if people don't deal with him, then I'm going to start knocking you down.
Yeah, it's more important. It doesn't really matter how accurate that kick is, as long as it's sufficient, and you can get a free jog with a guy. That's kind of the way I treat my kick too. It's like, who should have the free jog, and also who's okay being the most exposed potentially.
Yeah.
During that first turn. So.
Yeah, for me, I find Ghast is pretty good. He's okay to be out there in the middle.
Yeah, Ghast is rather annoying.
But then I've been playing with Rage, and just like his abilities are just so good. Like if I don't plan on attacking, or I can still attack, I can still charge for free, and I can still tool someone up if I need to. Like I can tool up Casket just to make sure that like if I'm gonna try to kill like someone that turn with Casket, like he just gets an extra point damage through each time. So I'll tool up whoever I need to with him, and then I can go ahead and charge in with Rage, and then usually get 2 up.
Yeah, tooled up is pretty sweet. Yeah, I really like tooled up on the monkey, so I'm a big fan of tooled up.
Yeah. In the game against the Masons, he had the monkey goad Rage, so I couldn't go and like kill off his one character that I was almost about to kill. So basically, I was like, all right, fine, we'll go for Marvels then. So basically, I had Ghast walk up to the monkey, and then I basically pushed the monkey within range so I could charge this monkey because I had to go straight at him anyways. I ended up blocking myself with silence, so I couldn't get around him. And basically, I was like, well, then Ghast will go. I took a turn and basically moved the monkey into Rage's charging lane. And then I was like, well, there goes the monkey. Get rid of it at the end of the turn because then you don't get love creature to happen. So that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah. You always want to kill those mascots at the end of the turn. That's cool. So you've been beefing up. Who do you think on Saturday? Who do you think you're going to be your most challenging opponents? There's almost every guild being represented.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
I mean, I haven't played Engineers. I feel like they do a lot of like knocking back, along with like a lot of knockdown. But the other one that I probably have a problem with is Alchemists, I think, because they do a lot of AoE and stuff. Although, like, I'm not sure because my guys for some reason, like I've been noticing, like usually at the end of turns I have about, if I'm not spending momentum, then I'm usually ending up with about 6 or 7 momentum left. So I feel like with that, I'm able to clear off statuses before like they do any damage.
Okay.
So, but I feel like Alchemist just mainly because I haven't played against a lot of them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you've played against Rick, right? And you played against. I'm not sure who else is playing Alchemists. I think we have 2 Alchemists.
Against them a couple times, but that was like at the tournament when I read my cards the second game of what the Mortician did. after Dave so kindly told me I can move people across the board with Obulus, and I was like, oh, that's stupid. I'm gonna play now.
Nice. All right. So you think alchemists are probably going to be your biggest threat?
Although I'm not a big fan of playing against Masons, just because every time we play, although I haven't played you again while I was playing Morticians yet, but like when I was playing the Alchemists, like I just can't figure that team out. So like you just beat the crap out of me, and there's like nothing I could do in those games. So
yeah, it was a learning game. I mean, yeah. So,
but I feel like I understand the Morticians a little bit better than I do that out of like a lot of the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's cool. Well, I will only end up playing if it's an uneven amount of players. So I'll hop in as a ringer. In which case I probably will play Masons. But I'll play a more ringer lineup for them. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy. But no, I'll be playing.
Cool.
But yeah, we'll see if it's uneven. If it's even, then we're good to go. I think it will end up being even, but I'm not sure. I mean, you always have last second flakes, so
yeah. Of course. Well,
so we're hoping. Yeah, we're hoping we don't have too many flakes, but we'll at the very least we'll have enough to televise a tournament, which should be super fun.
I mean, so I know it'll be from down here coming up to here. So.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate it. You guys are coming through for this, and it's cool too because you guys are playing in the first officially sponsored event in SoCal. So that's cool. And and the fact that it's sponsored, it's a sponsored event. You're gonna win a pre-released captain if you win.
Yeah.
And it's a free event. You're gonna have to pay for parking, but that's it. I think that's awesome. It's
totally worth it.
Kind of like, yeah. I mean, if I was not running this event and it's being run in my backyard, of course I'm playing in this because it's gonna be fun. So I don't know what's up with you Orange County people that aren't playing. What's your issue? Like, how hard would it have been to paint 6 models? I don't know.
To basically win a free captain that no one else has.
Yeah. To win a free captain that no one else has, to be in the very first. I mean, from now on, after this tournament's over, it's going to be much harder to get at this level of prize support if you're a player, because you're gonna have to play in 16-man tournaments or greater. Now you're talking 4-round all-day event to win essentially the same price support when you could have done it for free. Oh, also, if you're playing in a regular bronze level tournament, so you're at 16 men, you're playing 4 rounds, you're probably paying convention for a convention badge, or at the very least you're paying a store credit or store entry. And so my point is, it's going to be way harder to get at an event like this moving forward. So this is your opportunity, guys. If you want to play, and it should be a really fun tournament because everybody's so new. So so I think the atmosphere will be much more fun. It won't be. I mean, we want to have intense games, but we want them to be fun games too. We want to learn from the games also.
Yeah, so, if you want to have fun, don't play against Morticians. Morticians just make every game not fun.
unless you're stomping the crap out of Morticians, then it's okay.
Fun. But I feel like a lot of the games
then you're gonna have fun.
I feel like a lot of the games I play, like my opponents just like aren't having fun, even though they say they are. I'm just like, I'm sorry. You saw that post on the SoCal page about, or on like one of the pages that was like how to play Mortician's playbook.
No.
It was basically there was three requirements or something like that. It was play like do dickish things, play like a dick, and then Obulus. And that was it. That's the playbook. Like,
Yeah, Mortician's
unmasking
pretty
someone off the
popular.
board for a win. It's just stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I had gas charge into someone who had like low defense and armor. And I'm pretty sure I put confidence on him and was just like, hey, charge that guy. And I was like, and I basically charged him, and I was like, someone unmasking, he goes 4 inches away. Part of his base goes off the board. That's 2 points. Good game. And it was just dumb. Like, why? How is that a thing?
That's Morticians.
Yeah.
That's the, they are the they are called the shenanigan team.
I mean, I can understand why.
But I also do think though that there's a lot of shenanigans in a team like Masons.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah. Okay, cool. So right now you're trying to get all the painting done for Saturday.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, well, the good news is once your morticians are done, you don't technically have to worry about any more mandatory painting for any of the other tournaments that are scheduled in SoCal for the next 3 months, which is going to be great because we do have a, Dave, me and Dave kind of put together our tournament schedule for the next 3 months, and it's gonna be pretty bustling down here. It's gonna be good, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it.
All right, see you. I'm trying to paint Gutter here, which is a really cool model. And yeah, she got nerfed recently, but I don't know. I can't form an opinion on the whole nerf of Gutter because I've never played her. So, but I'm looking forward to playing some of these models. So I picked up this Union starter because I wanted to add Decimate to my Masons, and I wanted to specifically add Gutter here to my Fisherman team that I don't have. My Fisherman team is just a starter right now, and will probably remain one for some time because I'm trying not to build full teams, but I'm going to end up with full teams. Nice.
You applied to do the volunteer stuff, right?
The pundit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pundit.
Now, do you need to have 2 full teams painted or just 2 full starter teams?
I believe it's 2 starter teams.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's just 2 starter teams. I don't believe it's 2 full teams.
Because
I could look into that.
Get my Fisherman painted after this, and then I'll have 2 starter teams at least painted, and then I can just apply for it, so I'll have something else to it.
So you would be the pundit for Paradise?
I would try. I think Glenn, I've been talking. Glenn does a lot of stuff to the store already, so I don't want him to feel too burdened to jump onto it. So I just told him I would do it.
Gotcha.
If he didn't, he does a lot of stuff at the store, so I didn't want him to, be running everything all the time. So I told him I'd be willing to do it, and he said that'd be fun. So
that's cool. Nice. Yeah. It's a good program for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when they come to Southern California, they meet you and they give you all this cool stuff, like they gave to Dave. It's like, these guys are pretty awesome.
That? I'm sorry, I missed that.
When they came down here, when they were in Southern California, they met Dave.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I mean, they're for sure the Steamforged is really involved in their community, and they're really hands-on. I love that. I was impressed because the whole means by which I became a pundit was almost an accident.
Oh, really?
It was. I'll say it's at least 50% accidental. Okay, because the original idea was when I first started playing Guild Ball, my whole idea mindset behind it was, this game is so good, it's just going to promote itself. It doesn't need someone like me doing it. Anybody who can organize tournaments, and this is true, anybody who can organize tournaments and is at least remotely approachable can push this game. It's very simple. The game really does sell itself.
Yeah.
So my whole thinking was, okay, well, all I really have to do is play the game and introduce it to people in SoCal, and then I don't have to be a pundit. I would be more like I was calling myself like a patient zero, like I would just be able to spread the fever to people, and then the pundits would actually do the whole the organized play and all that other stuff that pundits have to do. What happened was I was talking to Ross, was asking me, hey man, what do you want to run for Kingdom Con this year? And I said, I'll run Ninja All Stars. I'll run some Ninja stuff. But I really want to play some Guild Ball this year. And he's like, yeah, for sure. We're gonna line that up. We're gonna get some guys here to do Guild Ball events. So I was like, cool, I'm totally down. If for whatever reason, if that doesn't work out, let me know. I can be a backup, right?
Yeah.
Sure enough, it falls through. So it's like, okay, so now I'm running a Guild Ball tournament. So I dragged Phil into this because why not? So I dragged Phil into this and I said, hey man, we're going to run a Guild Ball tournament, and he's always down. And I said, okay, so we're going to do, we'll set up a small tournament. We don't know how this game is going to, how the game is going to take off. So we'll do a 12-man 3-round starter tournament, right? That's all we're going to do. And talking with Ross and the guys at Kingdom Con, they were like, you know what? You should just email Jamie. Email Jamie Perkins. Tell him what you're doing, just so that he knows what's going on at Kingdom Con. So I went ahead and did that. I emailed Jamie, and he gets back to me. He's like, oh, that's fantastic. We're going to support you guys. We love Kingdom Con. We think it's got potential to be a big U.S. center, a West Coast U.S. center for Guild Ball. Meaning, potential U.S. national title grounds, right? So suddenly shit gets real, and I'm in the middle of planning this when Jesse hits me up, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to help me out with Esports Arena?" What's that?
You should come run this thing too.
Yeah. So Jesse taps me. He tags me and he goes, "Hey man, why don't you come run some stuff for Esports Arena?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. I've always wanted to do, because I'm a YouTuber, I've always wanted to do like streaming type stuff for games, and a game like Guild Ball is absolutely perfect for it." So then what I did was I emailed Steamforged again, and I said, "Hey guys, I know you're helping me with Kingdom Con, but guess what? This opportunity came up, and do you want to get involved in that?" And from there, they were like, "Yes, we do. We think it's a fantastic idea." I had a little meeting with them, and we talked about this event. And I said, "Hey, it's a brand new scene out here," and just the fact that, honestly, 2 emails ago, they didn't know me from Adam. They didn't know anything about me, but they were willing to listen to my ideas and my events, and then just kind of jumped in and said, "Yeah, we're gonna back you, man. We think this is a great idea." That says a lot,
Yeah.
With the other companies we work with, it usually is a little bit more pulling teeth to get them to sponsor stuff like this, especially these types of events. Some of the manufacturers, some of the miniature manufacturers will look at an event like Esports Arena and go, "Oh, I don't care about that. Those guys in there, there's not a big miniature gaming crowd in there. I don't care. Those guys play their video games and they're happy. I don't really need to support an event as a smaller event as part of a larger event." Right? That's not Steamforged. Steamforged is like, "No, we love the idea. We're totally in. We're going to help you." And so during this whole process, they made me go through the process of sanctioning my events. Okay, so when you're pundit and you're getting your event ready for Steamforged, there's a means by which you can get the event sanctioned, and you have to get the X people registered, and you got to get them on tiebreak and all this stuff, right? So I was doing all that stuff, and it was like, well, and I already did a little talk with Steamforged directly, so it's like, well, I'm already kind of doing the job anyway, and I think we kind of need the pundit status to really make sure that we get a sanctioned event. Why don't I just apply for it? So I put in for it, and totally honest with you, I was like, well, I don't care if I get approved or not. I just want to make sure that the events that we're planning will see some pundits, and that's kind of how it all happened. It was all this all started from, I want to play Guild Ball at Kingdom Con. I like this game. I want to play it at Kingdom Con. And then, if you look at Dave's whole journey too, he'll tell you his journey started when I showed up at Ease one day to show off some Guild Ball. And he gave it a shot, and he was in, man. He was hooked.
Yeah.
So that was like the start of his whole journey. What's that?
I've been enjoying it. It's very good.
Yeah, this game is crazy good. It's I did not expect it to be as good as what it is. And there's a lot of electricity in the air here in SoCal. We haven't seen a game take off like this for a very, very long time. It's cool to be on the ground floor. It's cool to be like that part of the early adopters that help kind of pave the way for the game to take off in this region. So it's exciting.
I feel like it was kind of like Relic Knights when it first started out here. And granted, it didn't really blow up this. I mean, like, it kind of blew up a little bit at first, but then it kind of just slowly sped now. A lot of people are playing it down here. But
yeah,
it was definitely really fun to see it kind of grow, where it was just like, oh, Occupy play this game together, to, oh, we're running tournaments at breweries now, and oh, look at, we have like a 16-person tournament at Kingdom Con.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Relic Knights it did pretty well here for a while, and it can come back. I don't think it'll ever, but compared to Guild Ball, I don't see Relic Knights is a little more niche game. I think Guild Ball has overall greater reach within the gamer crowd, whereas for Relic Knights to grow, it really has to grow outside of the gamer crowd. Because it's only gonna get Relic Knights is only gonna get a certain percentage. Oh man, I totally borked that. It's only going to get a certain percentage of the tried and true gamers.
Hello, friends.
Oh hey, what's up?
Hello.
Welcome back.
Well, I had to come back. I have to see what you're working on, which looks like it's Unions. That looks like Blackheart.
Yeah, I'm working on Blackheart's cape right now. This is just cutting around the whole little diamond design here on the back.
Yeah, I love their designs.
I gotta admit, I do like this design, but as I'm starting to paint it out, it oddly reminds me of like a Steven Seagal jacket. Like...
Are you saying Blackheart is Steven Seagal?
You remember his... Yeah, Steven Seagal, after his movie career, really, he started taking pictures of him with all these weird jackets. Like, he had these leather jackets that had, like, orange and green and black patterns on them, and they had these like Santa Fe geometric shapes on them. Is that a term? Can I say that? Santa Fe? Like Santa Fe is its own style. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe you don't know what I mean. Santa Fe, like when I think of New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, I always think of those sweaters, those those Native American sweaters that that maybe not all the Native Americans are wearing, but people in Santa Fe wear, that have all these like geometric shapes on them and all these colors on them. And Steven Seagal takes it a step further, and he just makes it into a leather jacket, and we have to deal with it.
Because if not, I'll beat the crap out of you.
Yeah. Well, you know, he will do everything in his power but not kick you, because that's the Steven Seagal way. He will not throw a kick. He's gonna block you to death, which is pretty cool.
I also see Corey has working on a Graves over there.
Currently, I am working on Gas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he's Casket's actually next. Graves is kind of like my number 8, 9 spot.
Oh, because you don't want to play him because he's bad? Just hopping on the bandwagon of all the other Mortician players?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that the consensus, that Graves is a bad player?
I think so. So, in my opinion, the issue with Graves is really the one influence he gives, because there's, like, when you look at Morticians, you still want to keep your high influence priority that you can normally get, and he's like another like non-big guy, non-knockdown control model.
Yeah.
It's like you have enough tools when you build out most like lineups of Morticians that you have Killy, that throwing him in, I feel like what he adds to the team is not like unique enough that like you're like, okay, this is the reason why I have to take him. His controlling element to Morticians is like, I go and I Scything Blow, I put bleed on a bunch of people, and hopefully they spend momentum to remove it, but if they don't, then he's kind of like, he's not very influence efficient. He's not like, he's not like Gas, where he generates his own counterattacks theoretically, so you could like just like send him down the field and have him do that thing. I think that's kind of his issue, and he's not he's not an amazing striker. He's just kind of like an offensive guy.
Yeah.
That if you want to go all in on him, you can, but it's quite an investment. He doesn't generate enough.
All three of these guys here, all three of them are one influence, and I'd much rather have these two over him, or like I'd rather have a Graves or a Casket, or I'm sorry, Casket or Gas over Graves, just because. I mean, Graves can charge pretty far if they're wounded, but other than that, like he doesn't have a lot of huge damage output either. Like, he hopefully hit his double guild ball to make everyone within range flee, and then hopefully you're not within your own guys, because you hit your own guys too, and it's not really worth it. So, like, you basically have to send him up the middle of the field, and basically hopefully he can survive an attack against a bunch of people, and then he just makes his one huge attack, and hopefully, like, can make everyone bleed for a turn before he probably dies. So...
Yeah, I mean, I think the other problem too is like I'm even looking at his card right now because it's been a while since I threw him on the field just to play. Like when I started, I played with him. But like he even has like his Momentous 2 damage is on 3. Like he has pretty high attack and contributes to that. He's not necessarily faster than Gast on the sprint. He has the 2-inch melee, which is nice. He's basically like if he generated another influence, he was a little bit more cost efficient. That he would be an option. But I feel like again, like you put Gast on the field, he has a presence. You put Casket on the field, he has the 3-inch slow, and Casket times the thing. Your opponent has to play around it. You put Graves on the field, he's like a generic, like okay, like damage threat, and he can pass the ball, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
He's semi-okay.
Yeah.
He's
the thing is, it's like it's sad because I love the model.
The Alchemist too with Midas, like. I mean, if they get Midas and they just, they take away any, like, his good ability, like, his only good ability, which is the one that everyone takes 3 damage within his melee range, like, why would I even bother? Because he's going to run Midas up in the middle of all my crap and then just think, oh, look, everyone's taking 3 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scything Blow is a liability against Midas, so.
But so is the one that Gas has.
Yeah, Unmasking is definitely
unmasking, sure.
of things you don't want your opponent to take.
Yeah. So basically, the goal is just to like that's kind of where I'm figuring out, like trying to figure out where do I put who in the lineup against Alchemist right now, because I don't want masking to happen to me. Like Glenn did it to me last night with Fangtooth.
It's interesting.
And like it sucks, and then you basically force someone else off the board with it, and it's pretty dumb.
So Callan, you're going to be there both days, right? But you're not. Unfortunately, you can't play in the tournament proper.
No. So first day, yeah, I have the World Dance thing, but I can show up early and hang out for a little bit, but then I have to move on. Then day 2, I can come in and play a bit, which will be fun.
Yeah, day 2 should be good because we're hopefully I can play day 2. I'll play a game with you day 2.
Yeah.
You can show me some of the shenanigans.
that is how I describe Morticians.
Yeah.
What's it like? It's shenanigans. Like they teach you how to play with butchers and fishermen. You're like, okay, like one strikes, one scores, and then like Morticians is like, well, they're striking or a scoring team, and you're like, are they like a killing or a scoring team? And you're like, they're shenanigans.
No,
like whatever you want to do, don't get to do.
They're here to give you a hard time.
Yeah. They make you. I think the other thing they do too is like so when you first start playing them, there's a lot of options, which like in their controlling nature, which makes you play slower. But then once you kind of figure out that stuff, what it actually does, like especially when you're on clock, it makes the other opponent play slower because there's so many options you have that can mess up their turn and so many decisions they have to make based on your controlling models that it actually I find it slows down my opponents more than it slows down me once you get a handle of what each model does.
Yeah. I totally agree with that because you just have silence go up there and you're like, so that player that's going to be stacked to do everything this turn with the ball, yeah, that person's going last.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping my complete ignorance will save me.
Hey, that sometimes can work, you know.
You know, sometimes you can, and I've been on the other side of this where you have like, your team, you've got like the best plan ever, and you're about to pull it off, and you're playing against a noob guy who doesn't know what's going on, and they accidentally your entire team they just screw up one activation. And you're like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Because you predicted that they're going to do something more optimal, right?
Yeah.
But they accidentally screwed up your whole plan by doing something you just weren't counting on them doing.
Yeah.
So I'm banking on that. I'm banking on that level of stupidity to save me. That's
well, I mean, so even though I've played a few games, like I haven't got to play a lot of tournament games outside my local group and playing in-house games. So I actually don't know how good I am. Actually, I might just be awful. Who knows? But like, I mean, I think the other thing too is like the cool part about the game that makes it compelling is that I learn stuff every single time I play and actually like have a notebook where I'll just write down like notes about like, oh yeah, like okay, like this interaction, because there's tons of stuff that you just won't figure out until like it happens, and then you're like, oh okay, like this is an interesting interaction. This is a way this is a creative way I could get out of this situation, which is actually pretty fun.
That's cool.
I think the biggest eye opener to me is how effective the ball actually is at like breaking what people perceive as the state of like the positioning. Because with the teamwork plays, like you essentially get a where'd they go every time you successfully pass the ball. So like the guy
right.
that you know, like for example, like perfect one for me is like Butchers. Like a lot of people, like Boar has issues, right? If he can't charge, if he gets a lot of movement impairment, like if they just measure you out, like he has low influence. It's hard for him to get in. And there's like you can mark target and find ways, but like if like no one's gonna expect you to pass the ball to Boar and give him a 4-inch like essentially where they go, and so if they've activated something and left it out, being like, okay, well like I'm out of range or whatever with that, and then you give him a 4-inch dodge, and then now he's like charging you, you're like, okay, like, but no one expects you to give him the ball, right? So there's stuff like you can do with that is still, I think, is
free charge.
The creative unlocking box that is still out there, and the ball is like a really powerful piece. So I've been discovering a lot of those tricks.
Yeah, should be cool. Yeah. So, and we did actually get our price support, so I'm happy about that. I was shitting bricks here for a little bit, like nail biting it, hoping that the price support would show. So that showed, which is great.
Awesome.
Still waiting on. I was under the impression we were getting a pundit kit, but I don't know if that's actually gonna happen. So we got to kind of plan around it. So I think I'm gonna be asking people to bring, mats just in case.
Right on.
Corey,
yeah.
if you're gonna bring mats and terrain, that would be great. And I asked Kellen to do that. Kellen's got the fancy official one, so that's probably going to be the table that ends up on camera.
I'm sure we can try. I know we've got one at Paradise that someone donated to Paradise with Paradise's logo on it. So.
Yep, which is cool. I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, and then and I obviously have a few on me too, so I think we'll be okay. It's just I was mostly sweating the whole thing, like telling you guys, hey, we're going to get a captain. And if it didn't show up, I'd be like, oh, that captain is Pinvice. Sure. Or something like that. Speaking of Pinvice, I have not seen her on the table yet. And that's kind of my... I keep looking in that direction. I'm interested in playing a Pinvice-led engineers team that just does, the flat-out speed and is a scoring team. So that might be a thing at some point.
I like to go for the casket kill first, and then try to get a goal later. Is kind of where I've kind of this play style's at for me right now.
So you get the casket goal, which is throwing someone in the casket.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, especially when you hit their captain, like, it's just dumb. Like, to be like, yeah, your captain's basically gone. Like, I think turn 2 I killed Honor, and I was like, I mean, good luck. One of your best players is currently gone, and you have like your -4 if I've influence now for the turn, and I've got the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's always Flint. There's always fate. There's always a chance. Yeah. There's Flint.
Turns out when Flint's on fire, he doesn't do as much. Thank you, Silence.
Yeah. He's yeah, I think Casket's very interesting too, because I've been playing a lot with Fangtooth as well, and that the 3-inch aura of movement, like, again, it's a thing that makes your opponent have to think and plan out so much. Like, just because you're like, okay, well, as soon as I enter this bubble, I lose like 3 inches of movement or whatever, or like 2 inches or whatever. It's like,
yeah. It's like you basically have to charge him in order to get into his melee, because most people can't just walk there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially against slow teams like Brewers, they hate it. You light them on fire, and they're like, okay, well, you can't actually walk anywhere. Like, oh, okay.
Well, what I would like to do currently is I throw out the AOE for with Silence, and I'm kind of just like, I'm gonna kind of control this here. Do you want to take poison? Like, either walk through and take some poison, or go around, because I don't care about fire. You're kind of slow anyways. But if you want to take poison for the rest of the game, you can remove it. Like, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then, and if he doesn't, or someone doesn't, then I just kind of go with Obulus if I feel like I need to, and feel like, hey, so your guy's now going to take a movement through it, and it's now poison.
Oh yeah, that's always fun. I think the thing that really, I think the buff that he got when they did the last errata, whereas I think it's like Ghostly Visage now, is not like once per turn, because you stack that with his aura, like against teams that like already like, so it's like you're saying like they have to charge to get in, but you literally can put 3-inch auras on people that say you lose 4 inches when you charge, and so it's like, oh, like, you actually can't, like, you can't get to these people. You can literally just be like, nope, can't do it, which I think is which I think is actually probably one of his most powerful abilities at this point, beyond putting people in the casket if it happens. But even if casket doesn't happen, you can still just be like, no, I can't get to these people. Too bad.
Yeah. And it's such a weird timing too with casket, just because he has like so low output for damage. Like, you need to have him surrounded by a bunch of people in order to just like, get the crowd outs. And then like tooled up with giving him rage, giving him tooled up is just kind of like, well, okay. 1 damage turns into 2, and 1 damage for most characters sound like playbook 1 or 2, which isn't too hard to get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the key against Morticians, the thing you have to look out for is because Obelisk activation dictates a lot, like whether they can build up momentum or not, and then the other part is who you activate before Obelisk activates also kind of, and how fast they are also prompts like how much trouble that character might get into, because if you finish your activation, then Obelisk gets to go and then like pull you in, Puppet Master you in, or if you even have costs to stack lure on top of that, it just becomes ridiculous because now your model, like, especially for like Honor's a good example of like, okay, there's Honor, and like you moved her out to like, you know, somewhere on like near the middle of the field. You move her 6 inches, and then she gets lured 6 inches, and now she's across the pitch surrounded. It's like not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
Right.
There was I think I've told Octave this before, but there was like one game I played against Dave, and basically, I had Silence go and made his Ox go last. So Ox is sitting there with like 6 or 7 influence on him, and basically basically made him go last. And I basically surrounded him with everybody and started beating the crap out of him. So I go with Obvious last, and I basically dodge him into his melee zone, and I start beating the crap out of Ox. And then, that's their captain, right? Octave's their captain?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Yeah. So I dodge him in there, beat the crap out of him. He's knocked down. I take my movement towards one of his guys, who then passes me the ball with Puppet Master. I take that momentum that I get for doing it, successfully pass, jump, like I take the 4-inch dodge back into Octave's melee zone, and then beat the crap out of him with the final influence that I had left from doing the Puppet Master successfully, and just took out his captain, and I was like, yeah, I got the ball and took out your captain. That was fun.
Yeah. A lot of fun for the Obelisk player. The thing is, like, I find it so absurd that it gives you an influence back. Like, it's like kind of in power level of like superior strategy, I feel like, but I still feel like him getting an influence back when it hits, and considering it's auto, and like I don't know, I feel like it gives it like he's already like, you can already give him 8 influence, giving him ability where it's like, hey, it's a really powerful ability he'll probably use, and it's gonna essentially net you. So now he's a 9 influence model. I feel it's like a little much. Like
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like down the road if they like errata that, if they errata Puppet Master or something. Just because like I feel like the influence back is just like, I'm just like, this is so unfair.
Yeah. I mean, it's even like I told Octave earlier, like 18-inch goal threat is just ridiculous. Like, you give him 5 influence.
Yeah.
He goes ahead and Puppet Masters himself, sends 1 to run, and then now he has basically a 6-inch threat zone for the goal. So he can go ahead and with whatever influence he has, if he needs to, he can use his legendary play. And then kicks, and then just bonus times, and with 3 dice on needing a 4 is actually pretty good. Like, I think I've missed once trying to get that to work.
Yeah.
Like, he scored most of the goals for my team.
Well, there are other. I mean, there are plenty of players that have a potential 1-turn goal.
Yeah.
It's more of like what else you can be doing.
Yeah.
In addition to having a one-turn goal threat.
Yeah, like if the ball like comes back and I can get it, or I can even Puppet Master myself, or Puppet Master someone to kick it to me, and then I can dodge towards the goal. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah, he's one of like the few models where you're like, if you're within his range, you basically don't actually hold the ball. You like unsnap it, because like holding the ball is worse. Like, it's pretty silly actually. Like, unless you have someone like Midas or someone that has a clone that they'll have to like the high defense they have to get through. But even then, it's like if you really want Puppet Master to go off and like it's a sure thing to help you in the game, you confidence yourself, and then it's 8 dice, and it's like let's go. Like, if you miss that, then luck hates you.
So then it's a dice game.
I've seen Phil miss that. so yes, Phil, luck hates
Poor
you.
Phil.
Well, I mean, there's like games.
I've seen him. Yeah, it's like that's a. What's that?
There's games where I'm playing with Casket and I make her go crazy, and I have her charged, so she's getting what? She's a 4, 8, 11, plus some crowd outs on her, and so I'm like, I end up rolling like 14 dice needing 3s, and I get 2 hits, and I'm like, seriously? Like 14 dice needing 3s, and I get 2 hits.
Can't trust crazy people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have had like really terrible roll. Like there's been times with Silence where I've been like, you know what, it's a 2+. Like I don't have to like bonus time it. And then I go a game where I roll like 3 trip 1s like back to back in turns. And I'm just like, all right. Apparently I need to bonus time this ability. Like on a 2 defense model, no, mind you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on.
I usually get what stumps me is the 4-1 defense where it's like, man, and I'm rolling, you roll like 9 dice and you get a single 5. I get that. I had one where it was like, I did 4 attacks in a row and all I got was a single, 4+ every single time. So nothing.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that really makes me like not want to play dice games. Like, Relic Knights has ruined dice games for me.
I haven't actually played Relic Knights, so I don't know how bad it is.
Oh no, Relic Knights is it's the exact opposite. Like,
okay,
if you screw up something in Relic Knights, it is absolutely your fault because your cards are coming. Your cards are there. You just have to decide where and when to use them. There is a I'll call it a 1 in 25, maybe 1 in 50 chance that somebody catches you first activation, pulls off something crazy, and you don't have the cards yet. So you have situations like that, but I'd have to say at least 14 out of 15 games, the player who understands how to manage their Esper is going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let me preface that too and say, while the scenarios aren't completely balanced, you still have that effect too, where you could draw a bad scenario.
Yeah. Totally screw out of the game.
But at least your ability to manipulate the resource generation, the dice in the game or cards, is way better than any other game out there.
Yeah, because
so it's a good and a bad thing. I've actually had people complain, like Relic Knights, like, oh, well, the better player always wins. And like, that's the complaint?
No, like I want to luck into a victory.
What's that?
I want to luck into a victory.
Oh yeah, I just want the random draw. But yeah, so Relic Knights is kind of nice in that regards. Like you can, if you screwed up, you screwed up. It's your fault. There's no real getting around that. This game, though, I like to say that this game, kind of like War Hordes, the dice are more of a negative control than a positive one. You're not going to remember too many of those times where, hey, I hit every single time.
Yeah.
On a Def 5 model, you're going to remember, oh, the guy was 2-1 and I had anatomical precision and missed every single time. That's what you're going to remember.
Yeah.
You're going to remember, oh, you're going to remember failed passes, failed shots on goals, and those are going to be the things that haunt you on the dice side for this game. But
I think
it's
goals
also...
Goals are the biggest one to me because I feel like when I go and I whiff like a big hit, I'm like, the impact on the game is like, okay, that charge or that hit or whatever is gone. But when you miss a goal, that's like the timing usually right. Like you want to try to score near ends of turn so your opponent can't respond, all that stuff. But like when you miss a goal, it's essentially you've lost 4 VP in an action where like you had it set up that like, hey, you're banking 4 VP, and when you miss that, like especially if you don't have the opportunity, like your kicker's in a bad position, you had knee slider, and like now you didn't score a goal, or all that kind of jazz. It really actually is really painful, and so I've been on enough of those scenarios where I concoct this beautiful play with like Obulus, where like I'm passing to one of my players and puppet mastering them to pass it back to me to then go and score to generate momentum out of nowhere, and then I miss the goal, and I'm like, well, that moment was wasted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're even like the riskiest goal. You're thinking, okay, I'm gonna score this goal. My guy is gonna die in the next turn because of it, but it's a 2-point swing in my favor. I'm totally good with that. And you go for it anyway, and now it's basically a 4-point swing the other way, which is basically what you just said. But
yeah,
it's also, but also the idea that if that's one of maybe two strikers on your team, then you don't have any scoring potential for the next turn and a half. So that's a huge drop.
Yeah, the pain to have to go pick that ball back up to try to score, if you're able to do that without getting harassed, is a lot. It's a lot. But that's why I think like part of this game is that if you put yourself in those positions a lot of times, unless like if you put yourself in positions where like you always have to lean on like these single points of failure, then that's just kind of like. I feel like in some cases it's like it's your fault in a way. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I think like you should go into turns having options of things and expecting not everything to work out. Like if everything works out, then great. But hopefully your opponent is also doing things that prevent you, and you have to expect that some of those things aren't going to work out. Dice, whatever.
Yeah, it's the whole it's the whole Blood Bowl risk mitigation skill.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as severe as Blood Bowl with the turnover rule, but you still have to be able to mitigate your risks. The one thing though for me is there's you at least for me, I can get addicted to big plays. So so a lot of times I will play for that. Hey, I need this and this and this to work in order for my cool play to happen, even though I know this is a safer route. I'll still play for the big play just because I want to see it happen, and that backfires a lot. So that's my fault.
Yeah, it can happen, but it's always good. You know, sometimes you play for the story. It depends on what you're playing for. If you're playing in a tournament and you're playing to win, okay. But if you're playing like a game at your local store, you're playing for the story most of the time, right? Like you wanna. Yeah. It's like I could put 8 influence and kill, your captain, like, or I could find a way to like do it with some other character you don't expect, or like maybe I like somehow set up Dirge to come in to finish you off. Who knows? Like, there's silly things.
The current best thing that I like to do is if I'm receiving the ball, is just to give Dirge 1 influence and have him run up and grab the ball and then come running back to my guys and drop it off. So, I'm just like, yeah, you're not getting the ball right now. It's just great.
Yeah, Dirge is that nice, fast ball hawk.
Yeah.
Send out there.
Go grab the ball, runs back, drops it off within an inch of someone. That person just grabs the ball.
Yeah, it's like Salt and Scum kind of end up being in that scenario. Though Scum can actually do work if you set the cat up right.
Yeah.
Because 2 momentum play on a short playbook is still like all the short playbooks that have like 2 momentum, like him and Esther's especially, like in Brewers, are just can get really disgusting really quickly.
Yeah, I do for big play. I do really love the snapshot though. I've only pulled off 1 snapshot so far, but I don't know. That's just fun. I know it's a little more of a lot of times it's used in desperation.
Yeah.
But man, I do love the snapshot.
It's always worth keeping an option open. Like if you have a good striker they can get like 4 dice. I mean, it's not a like my main one, like for example, like Morticians, it's Bonesaw. Like Bonesaw is that like you have that giant base. He's basically built for snapshots, and you set him up to try to go for that play potentially if you have the opportunity. He doesn't have to, but like it's there.
I haven't actually used him yet. Like he's not even on my roster right now.
Do you have the model?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he's fun. I think that it's hard when you can, because like I think that most Mortician players, when you get into Morticians and you're like, all right, like how do I play Morticians? And Bonesaw is fairly new. He's the Season 2 model, but everybody like for a long time has been like play Mist, and Mist is an amazing striker. So when like you think about playing Mist and you're looking at like a 1 billion-inch score threat and reliability, you're like sweet, and then you look at Bonesaw and you're like, well, he doesn't have like where'd they go. It's not quite the same. He doesn't have the reach, but he has the ability to actually be a striker that can play in parts of the field that you normally wouldn't throw a striker through. And the big base can be an awesome feature, and he does get to push people around. So there's a lot of things you can use him for controlly, which is why I like that they made a striker for Morticians when they made one that is like very much a Mortician striker. They weren't just like, oh, let's put in another character that just has all the same like close control, where'd they go, super shot type stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like I haven't had like a really use for him. Like I'm gonna give him a try at some point, but I don't know. Like he seems like he doesn't really fit the team right now for me, just because he's not really my play style.
Yeah, I mean if you're not trying to play like a high score threat, especially if you're playing a Casket team, like Casket's controlly, but like Bonesaw's not really going to help Casket get his job done, and he's not as like with Casket you want to. I mean, you pretty much. I feel like you should always have a potential for a strike threat somewhere in your lineup, and sometimes that can just be Obulus actually if you need to, and the rest can be Killy. But I don't know. I feel like in that comp, like I probably wouldn't run him if you're playing a lot of Casket. I probably wouldn't run him with Casket.
Yeah, like I'm not even still set on Casket yet. I'm just kind of like seeing what he actually does for me.
Yeah. So what's your normal lineup?
Do you like?
What was that, Doctor?
Oh no, his question's better. I want to hear it.
Okay. So recently, what I was running was so Obulus the Bird, and then Obulus the Bird, Cosset, Silence, Ghast, and Rage.
Nice. So you have the Black Butchers team.
Yeah, straight up like Rage, just going to town. Goodness.
Yeah, the thing I like about that team so much, and I'm sure that you'll probably echo this, is that having 2 models that are so influence efficient in Rage and Cosset that can charge for free is like leads to these really power turns, and especially also having the ability to tool up Obulus, who now has more influence because like you have these guys that don't really need much on them. It's just
I mean I played last night. I played 2 games and I dropped Cosset for Casket, and I was really feeling that 1 influence, and I was like, 1 influence make a huge deal for like what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
So it was really weird. But then like I tried to just use like Casket time. And I got rid of the Brewer Striker for 2 turns, so that kind of slowed down like his scoring game. And then like the second game I played, I got rid of Honor, and I was like, well, now you got no influence, and you can't do this multiple activations thing anymore. So like I really enjoy it, but like you just give them tooled up from Rage, and it's just like go to town Casket, you get 4 influence this turn. You're bound to kill off this person who's got 2 wounds left.
Yeah, I definitely, because Casket doesn't have the best playbook for actually killing people, which is kind of like the catch to him. Like if he was any more efficient on damage, I think he would be pretty disgusting. Like I think he's already a disgusting control piece, but like if you had like any like early momentous any damage, or if he had like a damage on 2 on 2, he'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah. So like I tried that where I put Rage next to him. It's like, here, you're gonna tool up first, and then Rage is gonna charge. For free.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been kind of like messing around with those lines a little bit.
That's cool. So what about you, Callum? What's your go-to Mortician?
Right now, I've been running a lot of Obulus Dirge Silence Ghast, and then I've been filling out the other two with Mist and Fangtooth. Mainly just because I like how much. So basically playing Fangtooth is playing a second Ghast, but it's a different problem scenario because he has the foul odor of Casket, but he has like the awesome knockdown and unmasking playbook of Ghast, but only more momentous. And then the other thing he does is he has his Gluttonous, which basically makes it so that now, especially against like teams that have heavy 1-inch melee characters, he basically kind of negates them being able to attack them unless you remove his Gluttonous first. Because if they attack you and you have momentum, you just counterattack, and he has momentous knockdown on like 1, and then he has like a 2 damage momentous knockdown on 2, and he has momentous like his first 4 rows is all momentous results that you can take that are good, and so he's a really good, and he's 29 hit points, so he's just a beefcake that if they want to do anything about, it's just a pain. Like it's like you have to have a really high damage team to mow through him in an efficient manner, and in a lot of cases that's just like a lot of resources just to get rid of him. So he's efficient in that way, and him and Ghast kind of become like just like the Bash Bro buddies that like just take so many resources to get out of the way that by the time you get through them and all the other controlling elements of Morticians, it's like, you know, there's tons of ways you can score around that as with like that lineup, and there's tons of ways that you can kill models with that lineup. Particularly like if you are, I think any lineup that goes against that doesn't have a lot of 2-inch melee, it's basically like a huge disadvantage.
Sure.
Because
and a lot of the power, like you're. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like basically the way it works is like if you look at like standard, like for example, Butchers is a good one where like they have a lot of killy, but a lot of it is 1-inch melee, and they have like Shank, and Shank is usually like the late turn torpedo. But it's like if they are ever in a situation where they don't go first, and if you're able to prioritize and take Shank off the table, like the rest of the team can't fight a lot of the rest of that lineup because it's just a bunch of 2-inch melee controllers that basically say like you have to jump through a ton of hoops before the damage can actually come online, and it's pretty disgusting in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of passive ability, just taking up the field essentially.
Yeah.
Those are yeah, and that's a great pairing for Obulus too, because if they're that efficient, then you know that's more stuff he could be running around and doing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And the thing that's cool about Obulus too is that with Shadow-like and unpredictable moves. So the other thing is like if he plays around Fangtooth, like you create this even harder bubble for them to try to get to Obulus, because in order to if you ever want to target Obulus, you have to get in base to base with a 2-inch melee or better unit, or like you have freaking Mallet, because Mallet's great, but you have to get into base to base.
Mallet's awesome.
A 3-inch aura also stops that, but the other key point is that when you have a foul odor model, it also restricts you. And Obulus having the Shadow-like and that kind of stuff to have the free dodges actually helps him be more mobile in that bubble than other models typically will be, which allows him to just do more work and get to models that he basically creates lots of really hard situations, especially with how elusive he is and with all those move debuffs.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the lineup I've been enjoying, but I've been playing lots of stuff. The other one that I really enjoy playing, which actually, like, sometimes I get to sneak in Graves, although I think that I might actually also toy around with like a little bit of Scalpel in the near future, but like it's the Fishbones lineup, which is basically all people that can pass and strike for Morticians.
Nice.
So you run Bonesaw, you run Mist, you run Silence, and I actually like to run Graves as a damage option threat, but he also has a really good kick. So you actually have a really mobile team that you can actually bring up the field and do tons of fun stuff with. I actually might change stuff out and actually put another big guy in, especially if I play Scalpel. And even I've been toying around with like throwing in Ghast or Fangtooth as part of that and having them control the middle of the field while the rest of the team is speedy and goes around it and does their thing. But I don't know. It's a fun lineup just because playing a really scory Morticians team can actually be like frustrating. On top of that, you still keep all your core control models there with Silence and Obulus especially.
I think that's how I played a lot of my first games. Was like I would give like Graves the ball, and then just be like, okay, now you can go ahead and run up the board with Obulus. Here, Graves. Go ahead and make a move. So like you get people off the board. I think I did that like when I first started playing with like only the standees and stuff, just because I really had no idea what they were gonna do. But it's definitely pretty cool that he can just make someone move, like, or attack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never mind. I'm actually wrong completely. I actually thought Casket didn't have a Momentous 2-on-2, but he actually has a Momentous 2-on-2. Never mind. Casket's really strong. I should play Casket more.
Yeah, but his attack's only 5.
Yeah.
So it's kind of rough.
5 is pretty standard though.
It's hard against. So it depends on the team. I think that what Corey is probably gonna say is that, like, for example, Honor, if like you have high armor teams, even though it's easy to hit, if you're not on charge and you're on normal hit, you're basically at best 3 successes. So if you hit with everything, you're 3 successes, and then anything more you miss from there, you're actually you're looking at 1 to 2 damage, hopefully, but maybe 1 damage, which then makes them hard to finish people.
Which is why I basically pulled Honor into the circle of like Gas, Rage, Silence. He was like, Casket, you're tooled up, and you also have 4 influence. You need to kill her now.
You pulled her into the dance battle.
I straight up did, and then knocked her down with Obulus. I was like,
threw down the cardboard.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna do this, and then I played the event too. That was like, if you kill their captain, you get 2 influence at the start of the turn. And I was like, great, even better.
So the thing I'm still waiting for is like,
nasty.
I can't wait till they announce cards, for like the new captains, or even hunters, because like I have so many people at work too. They're like, oh man, I'm totally gonna buy hunters, but I want to see their cards first, or like I want to like buy it, pre-order the new captain, but I want to see your card first. Like the abilities look cool, but like, what are the stats and the other things that go with it? So I'm so eagerly waiting for them to post this stuff. 1, just to see everybody's reaction, and 2, to like be able to talk about it. So this is like a really shitty way of saying I want to talk about it, but I can't talk about it. Thanks, Steamforge.
I want to talk about it, and I don't know what the stats are.
Well, I
just want to talk about it.
Meet up at the Invitational this weekend. We can talk about it in person.
Yeah.
We'll step off to the side. We'll have a conversation.
Yeah, because I still have, like, the stuff that they leaked, and, you know, I'm paying mostly attention to Hammer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, his stuff looks really, really fun, but I'm like, I don't see myself really seriously considering taking him over Honor. I just don't see it. I think he kind of shoehorns you into a play style, and you lose so much with that superior strategy. That, man, I don't know.
I think
good question.
Yeah, the tough part with Season 2 captains, right, is like there's been a long time with the Season 1 captains, and arguably you have to believe at some point, right, that like the first captains might come out a little strong, and I think that as the designers, Steamforge is probably like, we want to give you another option, but we don't want to like power creep like a lot of other games will do with it's like, hey, it's the new captain and they're more powerful, and then like that continues and the old captains become outdated, so they're probably conscious of that. So in some ways, I'm sure that probably the Season 2 captains are probably actually more balanced, I would guess.
I agree. I would agree with that. Okay.
It's
almost like you don't want the Season 2 captains to be an automatic choice. Like, oh, they're the new captains. They're gonna be better because power creep.
Yeah.
And yeah, but instead they're really just there to give you a totally different playstyle with your roster, which is great. I don't know. It's gonna be very, very hard to walk away from Honor, I think, for me.
So I think the faction, So the ones that jump out to me are going to be obviously, I think Masons is going to be a hard sell. I think that Morticians, because Obelisk is just so like high on the power curve, like they couldn't like make another Obelisk because that would be like ridiculous. So it's gonna have to be another option, and I'm sure like players are gonna basically like their initial reaction is gonna be but like it's gonna take a while. Like I imagine it's gonna take a while to get to like work into the captains, because I think one of the things that you have to be, because like in their path to balance, the other thing you have to have, I think, at least, is like an exciter. And when I think about like Esther's and her aura play, like it's in like her AoE, it's something very different than Tapper that is really cool. And then when I look at like the stuff they've leaked for Flay, and like now you're like this blood conditioned god, like awesome. Smoke, you're like, okay, she's gonna be like super AoE centric, like that sounds like super fun. That seems like what like a lot of Alchemist players when they got into Alchemist were like, that's what I want to do. I want to be the conditioned AoE faction, and instead they like found out that like no, we're like the Midas faction. And then you have engineers, who I think that were like the shooty faction, which was cool, but I think that actually was probably a negative for them. And Pinvice is like, now you actually are like the mechanical, like super fast pass, like you can be a scoring team. And Fisherman got the cranky old guy that's like, now I'm gonna like let's like, do you like harpooning people? Let's harpoon even more people and like start to kill people. Let's do that. Like Revolution Fisherman. So like you have all these exciters in those factions, where I think like you talk about with Hammer. When I look at Hammer, I'm just like, what's like the exciting part's not there for me, I guess, is the thing with him for me, at least when I've initially looked at him. I haven't seen his card. Actually, haven't seen his full card. But the stuff they've leaked, it's not the same as the other ones where I have this fantasy in my head where I'm like, oh, that'll be cool.
Well, from what I can see, I'm looking at that and going, okay, I'm going to play like 2 to 3 games that are going to be super fun because we're learning him and stuff. But I'm looking at long term and going, I don't think that's enough for me to really keep him in a lineup. Like I don't, and maybe I'm not supposed to, like you said, maybe I shouldn't look at it that way. But I don't know. I think I'm so happy with the current Mason playstyle that I just don't. I see a Hammer lineup as being more of a niche lineup. Like, I'm going to play this one-off. Like, if, kind of like the way I'm talking about Pinvice. Like, Pinvice turns the engineers into a dedicated scoring team. So, with Pinvice, like, I wouldn't consider myself an engineers player, right? I'm not an Engies player. I don't really think about, fielding Ballista and playing around it. I just see Pinvice, and I see an opportunity for kind of a niche version of the Engineers team. So it's like, yeah, I want to run that. I think it would be the same thing. If Masons weren't my main team, I'd be on the outside looking in and going, oh, well, Hammer gives them this really fun kind of, beat 'em up playstyle where he can pull influence off other models to give himself buffs. I'm like, that's fun. I'll play that, but I wouldn't play it as a main team. So the fact that the Masons are I'm considering them my main team, means that it's Hammer will be a fun kind of detour, but I don't see him as kind of being my go-to.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So I don't know, but again, this is all just waiting for the actual stats to come out.
Yeah.
So the cool thing for us is on Friday we're starting our league for Guild Ball, so that'll be really good.
Nice. Yeah, that's right. You guys are doing Figo League down there. I got to get these the Orange County guys. I got to get the fire back, or pull in more guys.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Orange County guys have been sidetracked into Infinity, the Infinity campaign. So we may not be seeing those guys for a while, which is okay. That just means I'll have to pull in some other new players. And the other part of that too is we really, other than a couple of starters, we really haven't seen product in the shops yet. And so I think it's going to change quite a bit once that happens. So the other thing I need to prep for. So we've got this weekend coming up. Then we've got Kingdom Con, which is gonna be awesome. Then, like, I own, like, Dave was making fun of me because, like, I have all I have the whole schedule front loaded. Because after Kingdom Con, then the month after is going to be Strategicon GameX, which is in LA, and we're going to throw a tournament at that con, and we're going to try to get that. We're going to try to sanction that one too. So I have to get that actually registered on Strategicon like tomorrow to start recruiting for it. But yeah, and then I'm gonna take a break, and it's gonna be San Diego and LA stuff, hopefully.
Here's a question for you guys. So recently, since we got a new people playing into it, like I got the message the other day to be like, hey, do you want to play a timed game? So when something like that comes up, do you guys usually think of that as being more of a more competitive game? Or do you look at it as more just like a game just to play? Like just to play a game, or do you look at it as more like a, hey, this is more of like a hardcore style of playing?
I think it depends on what the goal is, right? Like if the vibe is generally like a lot of like when War Machine players did it, it was because every tournament was timed and therefore it's like it became the way to play. But the advantage of it became that instead of having these really long War Machine games, you actually would, essentially time box your play, so you would get more games, or you would get an experience that was like set. Where like, I'm sure you guys have probably been a part of a Guild Ball game where you're like, all right, like hour and a half, and then like it kind of just keeps going and going. Like maybe it's a really good match and like it's fun, but it goes a while. So I think if like it's like a hey, like it depends on like what it is. If it's like clear like hey, we're practicing for a tournament, then clear it's competitive. But if it's, I think you can still play a casual timed game and have it be like a learning experience to figure stuff out. When I play internally with my buddy at work, Brandon Kading, who does a lot of he played competitive War Machine a lot. Like I think he won Worlds or something some year. Apparently that's the word on the street. But he's a really good competitive player, and so when we play, we'll like sometimes just pause the clock when you normally wouldn't to talk about something, but we kind of keep the time going like when we're playing just to kind of get a feel for like what does it feel like to play this game that way versus the other way. And I think it's definitely a different experience because, especially like I talked about with the Mortician's player, the clock becomes a resource and a pressure point where normally like it can be an advantage to have a lot of time to plan out what your control play is going to be, and likewise your opponent to deal with it. But when you put it on the clock, it becomes very different. You have to make quicker decisions, quicker activations. Otherwise, you might run out of time somewhere down the line, and now you're bleeding points and clocking out. So it's definitely a different style. I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it totally does.
That's at least how I look at it.
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing. I look at it
and play like it's basically a different game at that point.
Yeah. I don't think it's a necessarily they're asking for a competitive situation. I think what they're asking for is a not necessarily, stop and study game. Like early on, I had a game that went 3 hours, and it was because there was so much dialogue. There was so much like, oh, if I do this, you'll do this. And if I do this, you do this. And I do this, you do this. And then like 3 hours later, you're like, that was fun and it was educational, but please never, ever, ever let that happen again.
Yep.
So the next time we get together, we're using a timer because, like you said, I want to get on with my life. I want to play a couple of games.
Yeah.
And so there's instances where, obviously, like when we were learning our teams, we didn't use a timer, and then we got to a point where I was like, hey Dave, let's use timers now. Let's use our timers now because we gotta actually, now that we're comfortable with our teams, we have to also be comfortable running them in an efficient manner. So that's not necessarily competitive. It just means we're looking for a not paralysis game, not analysis paralysis. But yeah, I think if I actually, and like you know this, Corey, like it doesn't matter even if we're just playing a friendly game. I still keep myself on a timer.
Yeah.
Because I want to play more streamlined play. Like I want to be used to making really timely decisions. So I keep myself on a timer, even if it's like, hey, I just want to learn the game. I'll be like, okay, don't worry about. Let's not worry about your time, but for my own benefit, I'm going to keep myself on a timer.
Yeah,
and I like it. Yeah, I come from a place where I'm not a competitive gamer. I haven't been one for a number of years, and so it's been a very very long time since I've had to use anything like a timer or a death clock or anything like that. So part of it too is just I just want the physical conditioning to always hit a clock before I go. I just need that as part of my routine, so I'm gonna use a clock all the time.
Okay.
So I don't know. If somebody comes up and says, I want to play a timed game, I don't necessarily look at that as a competitive thing. I'll look at it as a competitive thing if I know the player, though, and it's like, oh, this guy is gearing up for a tournament and he wants to play a really competitive game. Then sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that really has to do with the clock, though.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe I over-answered the question. But
no, I mean,
honestly, I think we both kind of said the same thing.
I'm just kind of wondering what everyone else's thoughts are, because I'm still trying to figure that out, like the game, because there's like, I feel like there's two different styles where you can feel like, hey, let's just play a game, and there's like, hey, let's play a time game, and I'm kind of like, does that mean you want to play like straight up like a competitive style game, or are we just you want to get in a lot of games? Like, how are we doing this? And I won't ask. I'll just play.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's on who you're playing with and like why you're doing it. I mean, I think it's a pretty positive thing, especially for me. It's like if I want to get together with someone and we want to play a game at lunch and we want to give each other like 30-minute timers or like 25-minute timers or something and play like a super speedball game, we'll do it. And then like if then it ends and we're not like sitting there like leaving a table of stuff to come back to later or like ending the game before we can actually conclude it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's a fun, efficient way to play the game. That doesn't mean that all games I play on that. Obviously, I think even when I teach people, like I won't. I don't know. I find that like the more stuff I have going on, maybe like it distracts people. So if I'm teaching, I think it's cool that you keep yourself to a clock. That's a good training method. Me, like I don't want to do that because there's already enough in this game when you first, even though it's easy entry level for miniature gamers, but I deal with a lot of people that have never touched a miniature game before. So I actually just try to ease them into as much as possible, and I feel like if I had a clock there and I'm doing that thing, they'll just be like distracted by it. But I think
they might be intimidated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might think, oh well, if I'm going to have to eventually learn all these rules, and I'm going to be timed, then you might have just scared someone away from the game where they could have just kind of eased into that side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Because I call a couple of guys that we're playing with now, like they know like we're going to a tournament this weekend, so I kind of like I messaged Glenn the other day and said, hey, you want to play a game like just for practice for the tournament, and he was down to play. And then one of the guys came in and was like, yeah, I mean, I want to play a time game. And so like everyone kind of like in our local area, like knowing like, hey, we're going to a tournament. Like he's newer, the other guy that I played with, and like he's really loving the game, so I was just like, yeah, sure, like we can play like on the clock, and like he ended up hitting time, and I still had like almost 18 minutes left, and
yeah, that's okay though. Yeah,
and I was like, it seemed really weird because it was like like he just getting into it, like his first miniatures game, and so like me playing miniature games for such a long time now, I kind of just like have an idea of like a plan already of like what I'm trying to do. It just seems super weird because he was like, I want to play like a time game, and like he's like, I think this is like his like second or third game with like a full 6-man team, and like I just felt like he was super rushed trying to just play the game, and I was like, he's not really gonna learn anything from just kind of rushing through everything, just to try to like make it so he could like keep it like at a decent pace. So it just seemed kind of weird to me. But I don't know. That's why I was wondering what you guys were thinking.
Say embrace it. It's fun to play on the clock.
Yeah.
It makes me make more mistakes, and it makes the games go faster.
Yeah, because like even in the middle of it, he was just like, man, like there's just so much more like pressure playing a timed game, and it's like one minute is like so crucial. Like you like allocating influence too slowly could just be like the fact that like you start losing points like a couple minutes before I do.
Yeah.
Because like, and then it's like get the smaller guys out of the way. Like I'll go with the bird, and I'll just be like, all right, the bird's moving. He moves. Your turn. That was 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like a lot of competitive War Machine players, right? Like you have massive armies, so all their first activations are like done like as fast as possible, and like they have a lot of stuff planned out, basically because they know that the early turns are less important than the later turns. So like you'll see them like move stuff like super rapidly, and they'll basically save a bunch of time till late game when they can like use that to like have the thinking time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of similar in Guild Ball too, because the early turns, depending on what you do, like there's not as much touch points, so it's a little bit easier. But it's those like the second, third, and like on turns where like the influence allocation becomes more key and important, like and all that stuff becomes a much bigger deal.
Yeah. So it's just, and then like he was like, I felt like he was just super rushy the entire game, and I was like, this is like only your second or third game, man. Like.
Yeah.
And granted, like he actually was very close to win. Like it was a very close game. We ended at 10, like a 12-10. That's like I won 12-10, and it was only because Obelisk went and scored the goal because he had the ball. But like, it just I don't know. It just seems super weird just to be like, hey, let's play on time. Like, and it only has been a couple of games.
Yeah, I think it sounds to me like maybe it's not like competitive you're looking for, but like I feel like it is the deep end. Like if you were just getting into Guild Ball and you're trying to learn the game, like being like let's play time games right away is kind of like the deep end, because you like it's not like the time is not going to forgive you for stuff. Like and like I said, sometimes like when we're playing matchups where we're like I'm testing out with the people I play with, like we'll actually pause the timer sometimes to talk about something and not have the clock running, or like you have the classic thing too, right? Like when you first play on the clock, like sometimes you forget to hit the button or whatever, so we just like clock extra time for our opponents and all that stuff. But yeah, that's I mean. So my first like real 66 games was a tournament on a faction that I've never played before, like which was Fisherman, which I don't even own at this point. Like literally, the guy was like, "Here, you can play my team," and then like that was my first game, and I won the first game because I was playing someone else that was new. But I can definitely say it's like it's a very under pressure situation, which like is fun in its own way, but also like just learning the game is not super great necessarily.
Yeah. I don't know. That does sound fun though. As long as your expectations are, I'm probably going to lose my game, but I don't care. I want to play. I want to play a fast game and learn a whole bunch of stuff, and move on, play the next guy. It sounds kind of cool. I don't know. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I actually. So the funny part is too is like, this is one of those games, and like a lot of games, like you'll see that like, I think it's a miniature game thing maybe. But like you always have like that tournament, and you have that guy show up, and he's like, "Well, like I didn't bring my models, or like my stuff's not painted, or like that stuff." And like it's like, no, just like get in and play. Like it's like the game is fun. Yeah. You want to play the game, but it's kind of like, especially when you are a new player, there is this kind of thing in miniatures games where I feel like there's always those people that show up, and like even like videos I watch of like EU things like. The local game days, they'll have the guy walk in. You could hear it in the background going on, where the guy's like, "I didn't bring painted models. We don't care. You can still play. Come on, like just play, jump in." And I feel like that is one of the most fun ways to be interested in the game, especially if it is a tournament of other new people. Then it actually becomes even more fun because you're both kind of making mistakes together and experiencing it, which was pretty much the environment I was in, and I think that's pretty ideal. The last guy I played was a Mortician's player. it was very, very good. But he was also had a good mindset of like being nice to me, like while he's like pummeling my face. But like he was actually being like very courteous and like pointing out things to me and stuff like that. So that was cool. So I think that experience is really awesome. If like every player could actually have that experience, I think it's really cool because it's efficient on your time and it's like it's a fun environment when you're learning with other people. Where I think that if you don't play on the clock in some of those scenarios, like the games can go a little bit longer, or you run into time and you don't actually get a lot of way through the game, which doesn't feel great either. So I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of helping people jump in the tournament. So now actually I've changed my mind. I flipped over. Everybody play timed. Do it.
You talked yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll read some more comments here. Time games mean faster decision making, which means more mistakes, and mistakes make the game interesting and fun. I like that. I like that comment.
Yeah. 100% agree.
I also really like new player tournaments are actually my favorite because for that reason, because it is, you know, you got everybody's trying to win their games, but they're all ultimately trying to learn too. So you know, there is a little more cooperative atmosphere there. It's like, okay, well, we don't know how this rule works, and we're going to talk to our pundit or whatever, and then we're going to and then we'll look at it a little bit more, and this is how it played out, and we both walked away and we both learned something and we had fun. I don't know. I think learning a game from like a community standpoint, building standpoint, when you're learning a game, you remember those first players that like you and this player discovered this wacky rule together, or you learn this important Guild Ball life lesson together, and so now you like have a you have like some connection with this other player, which is cool.
Yeah, it builds it helps build the community of gamers, especially in that store, that area.
Mhm. So I do like. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think I like the beginner tournaments for mainly beginners. Just because it's not like, I don't know, like Glenn and I were talking about this the other day, about coming up to yours, and we want to come and play, but at the same time, like we've played about a dozen games already, so I don't consider myself to be like an amazing player, but I don't consider myself to be a beginner player with someone that's just trying to like figure out how to play the game. So I think like we kind of like came to the conclusion, like, you know, like we might come up and just like hang out, but we won't play in a tournament just because like we've played enough games where we understand what's going on, we understand like what our teams are trying to do. Whereas like you're playing against someone who's just starting to play the team for their first or second game, and you kind of win the entire tournament because you've played more games.
Well, there's that, but I mean, if it's almost like I would still think it's a good idea to play anyway. If you, because you guys are already kind of coming in with the right mindset. Yeah, we're not beginning players, but almost treat it like if I were attending my beginner tournament, I would treat it like I'm playing 3 demo games.
Yeah.
And just play them that way. You know, I'm play starters and go, or even you could do the other route too, and just like, I'm going to put together this combination of players that I don't like specifically, and I'm going to hopefully help another person learn the game, and I might, you know, and I'll probably walk away and I'll learn something as well too, because I played like new player events that way where either I'm the ringer or, you know, I'm a little more experienced, and I'll play with the mindset of, okay, I really should, I have no business competing in this, but I'm going to treat it like I'm going to meet some fun people and play some educational games. And I think that's actually, it helps a lot when you're playing, if you're a new player and you know that there's some experienced people there that are there to have fun, but they're going to teach you a lot about the game too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is like, this is your chance to make like a. So like, if you like Guild Ball and you want Guild Ball to succeed and grow, it's like this is your chance to go and be like a positive influence on the community. and it's a way that you can go and then like mentor other players and help them like the parts that you love about the game, you can help them discover through like playing with them and talking them through stuff and teach it like, basically like you said, like kind of like a training game where like you're helping them out along the way, and like your goal may not be to necessarily just like win the whole thing. It might happen by proxy of you being good, but you could help create a really awesome experience for them. And kind of going back to what I was saying about my tournament, like playing against that Mortician player was probably one of my favorite games because I learned so much playing against him, and like seeing him play Morticians, like that was like my first front row seat to a 6v6, like how to play them like really well. And so like that was a cool experience for me as someone that was going to be playing Morticians as like my first team. So
yeah, it's just like I don't know, because like at ours, the gentleman that won, he'd been playing. From what I understand, he was playing a lot, and so like ours, like everyone that was playing like had played like maybe a game or two, like basic games, and the guy who won ours was like, yeah, I've been playing this like crazy, and we're just like, okay.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. We've not for Guild Ball, but for other things we've had that, like the Party Crasher type player that shows up, and they're not a new player, but they want to, they need to collect some sort of prize or something, so they'll play in it. Yeah, it's pretty lame. I mean, honestly, it is. But I think just the fact that you and Glenn have that conversation, like you know what's going on, I don't think you guys are the guys that are going to show up to club the baby seals or anything like that. So I think it would be a very positive experience if you guys played. Right? What's that?
Isn't Malifaux Kingdom kind of where it was?
Yeah, I mean, you could even, the other side too is like you guys could play spoiler in case that guy does show up.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, this guy here is not a new player. I'm going to try to level the field here and play him, you know?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate when that happens, but but that, I guess it's part of it. Yeah.
Like, and yeah, so I'd say like if again, like if your goal, if you are a competitive player that can't turn that switch off and you know you're going to be oppressive, then yeah, maybe you should sit out of it and then maybe you go hang out. But if you're going with the mindset of like, hey, I could positively impact this community and help these players love Guild Ball more so that they want to play it longer, and then by proxy I get a better community and I get to play longer, that's how I look at it. And that's why I want to go to those events and play. Not necessarily so I can, like, winning, great, it's nice, like it may happen, but like I'd rather just like have really fun games and like have people excited to play more Guild Ball. And just like any game I want to play for like a long time, that's like the key. It's like the community's key. Like,
you're not going to spike the ball in front of the noobs. Like, yeah, suck it. Woo!
Well, I mean, like, have you guys ever played Magic the Gathering?
I have not.
Like, Magic the Gathering is like the ripest of forefronts for that to happen. Like that, like dudes getting angry at kids wanting to flip tables. Like, there's like a YouTube video that's a joke of it, but like I've ran into those people that like wanted to like fight a kid outside the store, and I had to like step in and stop them, like, and like have them like leave because they're a jackass. But like those people, and like there are those people that just will show up and they want to win at all costs, and like that's a shitty experience. But I think the community will breed that out if like the environment is like the opposite, right? Because then like if like people have a culture and environment where that's away from that, like those people won't really like, they won't thrive there. But like if it's just an environment where those people can keep showing up and like no one's doing anything about it and like it's okay, then like those people come back every week and then eventually they blow up and it creates a sour taste. People hate it. What actually, so for like a League of Legends example of this is, so the thing with video games, right, is everybody can play from their home, and there's online tournaments. And so if you have people travel out to a LAN, and there's one really power team of like really high-level players that keeps beating the crap out of everybody, eventually people don't show up, right? Because like, why would I want to show up with my friends and why would I want to travel to show up and get destroyed by this team and I have no chance? So what I actually did is we actually had a thing where we made a draft format where instead like we took these top players in the community and now like they were kind of like the captain of your team. So like even if you didn't even have other friends and you were like a bronze player, which is like the lowest division, like you could still be a part of these guys' team, learn a lot, and even maybe win the tournament, which normally you would have zero shot of doing. And so if you can, there's even ways to approach situations like that where it's like if you have someone that's crushing a lot, it's like, hey, like play fun comps, like be a mentor to a player, like maybe do like some weird, come up with a teams format, I don't know, like in Guild Ball where like you both score points and you're trying to coach each other between games on your matchups, and like there's like lots of ways to do it where it is a positive way. But I think that again, like it sounds like you have the mindset of like you recognize it, which is like the best part, and then it's just a matter of like being a positive influence. So I encourage you to be a positive influence, Corey.
I mean, I do that like that.
Mm-hmm. Corey and I have run into some instances of people that crash the new player events for stuff like that. So I totally see where you're coming from. But I know you well enough to know that you're going to be a positive influence there. So I would say, and Glenn obviously as well. So you guys should, I think you guys should totally show up. I think it's only going to be better if you guys do show up.
Yeah.
Because not only that, it reinforces to new players like, oh, okay, this is part of a community that I want to play in. And one other thing too is like when I show up for like new player things, I'll play people and they kind of understand like I'm pulling back a little bit and having fun. And some of them, the ones that are really aspiring to be competitive, they'll say, you know what? Go ahead and let's just play an actual game. I want to see you at full stride. I want to see what it's like. And I would probably be one of those players myself. If I want to be good at a game and I'm playing against a guy that's really experienced, I'm going to say, yeah, don't hold back. Let's see it. I want to see the full extent of your ownage.
I want to see what it is you do here.
Yeah, I would. So, yeah, I mean, for sure, it's we gotta.
I'm always up for playing games, so I'm pretty sure I don't have anything going on that weekend. And if I don't, I'll probably come up still just to come hang out with you.
Yeah,
and,
that'd be cool.
Play like Ringer or something if you need it.
Oh no, I'm already putting together my bad lineups.
Oh, okay, great.
Wait, which event is this?
I have a demo day and newbie tournament down in Orange County on when was that, the April 16th. I don't even remember now. Too many things. But yeah,
so many tournaments.
It's not really a tournament. It's just like, hey, let's unpack a bunch of starters and just play. And throw a prize at somebody at the end. That's really the whole idea there. Is just let's just get in a bunch of fun games and then somebody wins something. That's all. So calling it a tournament is a little bit of a stretch. The idea is to get in a bunch of games and it shows if I found that if you have in a public setting like that, if you have some people all playing in an event, that's a really compelling story from it to an outsider because it's like, oh, this is a community that's already there. And if I join, these are the kinds of players I can be playing games with. So that's why we kind of threw in an organized play as part of it. If it were just a walk-in and demo, I don't think that's quite as powerful for a public store like that.
Do you have a Facebook event for it?
No, I need to make it. I'll make one tomorrow for it. I've been waiting for the store owner to do it because a lot of times she does it. But I noticed with my events she doesn't do it. She waits for me to do it.
Gotcha.
So it's like a standoff. What's that?
Oh, I just said gotcha. But yeah, like whenever that's up, send me an invite. I'm sure you'll put it on SoCal Guild Ball, but I'd love to come and help people learn and stuff. I think that's
absolutely, yeah. Man, yeah, I've got my Squisherman lineup, which is going to be amazing. Just all low wound, low armor fishermen that just run around and they're capable of like the big play, like I was saying, but they have to live, I think I was like looking at that lineup. I'm like, wow, a well-timed Ox feet turn could totally just table this whole team. It'd be really bad. So I'm working on like kind of weird lineups like Squisherman, and then with that Fisherman starter, I ended up just kind of looking at my Union models, and I was like, oh, I can actually field a 6-man Fisherman team, but boy, that's a bad team because it's just the Fisher starter team, and then like who are the models? I think Snakeskin and maybe Gutter. I don't remember, but it's the models I have on me. I'm like, oh, I could totally do that. All I need to do is buy salt, and I can field that bad team. But I don't know how bad the team is because I don't. Maybe it does do something really well that I'm just not seeing. Well, that's kind of the fun of making some of these weird teams here.
That's actually exciting. Like, it actually is good to play other team comps because we had this conversation last week, I think. But it's like when you take away your favorite models, you actually discover the good parts about the other models that you normally don't throw much influence on. Which I usually try to I even rotate teams now. And beyond, because I played a lot. I've played pretty much most of the stuff Morticians can take. I think the only thing I think they can take Minx or something, and I haven't taken her, which is the other Furious player. But other than that, I've played most of a bunch of different combinations. I even started without Silence. I think I had the starter. So I picked all the models I liked. So it was the starter, Casket, Ghast, and Dirge. So it was literally the lowest influence, almost one of the lowest influence team you could make on Morticians. So it had issues, but it was still fun to me to learn and play with. But yeah, I think it's fun to play with new models or take away the key models. Playing without Silence is a very different game.
Yeah, it really is. I can't even speak to say that I've tried it, and I don't think I want to try it.
It's so hard when you realize how good he is, and I think that it even took people, because from what I gathered, just going on forums and doing research, I feel like it took people longer to even realize how good he really was, because everybody was just he's a battery, and it's hard to get past the fact that that's why he's so good. Is he gives you Obulus gives you 5, ridiculous, but then he gives you 3, and you're well, okay, I'm already at 8, can't go down from here. But playing without him and playing without Tucked and Shutout or the mobility control with catching people on fire, it's definitely taking out a very strong control tool that if you've been bred to play with, it definitely changes how your turns and plans go out, not having him. Although sometimes, to be honest, I find there's times where if he wasn't on the field and I wasn't trying to put influence into him and missing all my 1-dice plays, then maybe I would do better.
One dice plays they do kind of scare me.
Oh yeah, they're scary.
But
the thing about Silence is that again, he's Momentous 2 damage on 2. You're pretty much going to get that most of the time. He's pretty high defense model, which also I was a little bit surprised by when I first started playing him. And so he can actually generate his own momentum, and you can bonus time him if you really want to have them land. And in some cases, like Ox and Tapper, that actually just completely just is the giant middle finger to those teams, because you want them to activate first to be able to move up and get into position and do their thing. You want to have old Jakes online, and sometimes they still are effective, but you could just basically just stall out one of their most powerful influence models and set them up for shenanigans with Puppet Master, other things, and kill them. And if they have to wade through 5 actions to prevent that model from dying, sometimes that's too long and they lose a lot out of it. So it is potentially one of the most he is potentially one of the most powerful models in the game, Silence is. So it is when you think about not having him, it's scary, but at the same time, again, I've had really bad runs of trying to land his stuff, even with 2 dice. So
I think what's great is when someone charges at you and they're I'm going to charge Silence, and I go, I'm a defensive stance. I'm a hero.
Dude, real talk. Like that's why sometimes I sprint now. I'm like, I'm like, okay, like do I want to hit this model? Like, because if you go at a 5 defense model, or even like a 4-1 model, and they're able to defensive stance, it'll cut so much into your hits. Like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to get a high result, like a unmasking, it's not worth it to charge.
Yeah, like I got the charge, and I was like, I'm a defensive stance, and they're like, okay, what are you? And I was like, I'm now a 6-0. You've got like 12 dice, 1 hit. What is that? Oh, one non-momentous damage. I'll take it.
Yeah, 1 non-momentous damage, or potentially like, just like even on 12 dice, it's like 2. Like, it's like what they're hoping for on average. Like,
oh man, I should have put that on a base. This is getting. It's very hard to paint this little lip here on the guild ball. But here's these guys.
aw, yeah. Those are looking good.
This color scheme is weird, okay? Because I was painting. I painted snakeskin last week, and I had absolutely no idea what I was gonna do, so I just started painting, and I ended up with that color scheme, and I was like, "That's a cool color scheme, but it certainly doesn't look like snakeskin, and it really doesn't quite look like a Union player." But I liked it enough to where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that. The only Union player I have now that is not this color scheme is Mist, and I'm totally fine with that because I wanted Mist to look like a kind of like a poisonous cloud anyway. Because I think Mist is going to be spending most of his time on my Alchemist team.
Freaking.
And I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to try Decimate out with my Masons. Because Mist on the Masons was cool. Like, wow, I get a second Flint-like character, and that was cool. But if you're already good with your big 3, like Flint, Mallet, and Honor, Mist isn't getting a lot of time other than as like kind of a contingency play. So I think maybe Decimate might be a better fit for the way I play, but I'll find out.
She's another really good like turn option, or she can just be like a second win option. But I think the thing with her though is like you really quickly can get in a scenario where you don't have enough influence for her too. But she's like one of those option players where like you can put her online, and then now you have like a good armor piercing threat for your team as well, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. Which I think is cool because you'll have. So I'm thinking, this is all theory. I haven't played her yet, but I'm thinking I can do some early game set plays around Second Wind. Trying out the missile and all that stuff. But then late game, I always have that additional hit back there that's armor penetrating. So with Chisel taking up that slot, that 6th slot for me, I don't think that's necessarily a loss since I'm using Mallet, to kind of take up the space most of the time. So we'll find out. I don't know. So far, the Snakeskin, I played Snakeskin and Mist in my Masons team, and neither one of them have really done much the way I play the team. So either, I probably need to play them more to really find out. But so far, I'm not impressed with them, so I'm going to try Decimate out.
I actually love going back and watching the pre-errata models.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mist had a momentous tackle. Decimate had a 2-inch reach. Like, I was like, no wonder Union was so strong and everybody hated them. Like, all the models have been, like, a lot of models have been nerfed, have been Union models. Like Gutter, as I'm staring down on her.
Mm-hmm. I'm really liking Blackheart's blade. That's really cool with the rings.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until I started painting.
I didn't notice that until I started painting. It's very very Asian looking. It's very kind of reminds me of Dynasty Warriors. There's a few characters on Dynasty Warriors that have that brand of sword that has the rings on it. I don't know, man. Now I'm gonna have to build a Union team. Damn it!
Look what you did.
Because I wanted Decimate, and then I wanted Decimate, and I wanted Gutter in some lineups, and I was like, whatever. Blackheart's there. Blackheart's there. I'll paint Blackheart whenever I'm ready. And now I'm looking at Blackheart. I'm like, man, that model's pretty cool. I might have to try them.
I feel like Mercenaries is the faction that everybody eventually will play, no matter like what faction you start with, unless you're like an absolute purist, because you eventually will get the Mercenaries for that faction, for the whatever faction you play, like Morticians, and then you're like, oh, I just buy a starter and coin, and now I have a Mercenaries army. Why wouldn't I do that? And then when you look at their starter having Decimate and Gutter, who are two really strong models built into it, it's kind of like a no-brainer to basically be like, oh, okay, like I buy the starter and I get Gutter and Decimate, which go across a lot of factions and are good models. So, especially Gutter for a long time, even post nerf, she's still great. Like I feel like Butcher should take her as well, even still, because they need to make sure they can get on certain factions. And she is
she's going to be great. I am planning I am planning a affiliate-based Butcher team, and she is going to be part of that team. So, nice. Let's see. I missed some comments here. Blade Wolf 9 says, "Hello, Magic the Gathering is scary. Sure, nowadays." And Adam from Greenleaf Terrain's on. What's up, Adam? You playing Guild Ball, dude? Come on, Adam. You playing? Come on. Let's see. Maybe he is. He should be. You should be playing Guild. You know what, Adam? You should be taking Guild Ball commissions too, because that's probably a pretty good thing once Guild Ball starts heading up to Canada. Should be a good idea. Yeah. So my Union team right now by default, just the models I have, starter set, and then I have Mist and Snakeskin. So if you add coin, I have a Union. I have a 6-man Union team. May not be a good team. I don't know. It might be a good team though. I don't know. It's a really mobile team, whatever it is.
It's really mobile. You got striking. You got killing ability. You got ball control.
I have to try it.
All right, I just locked at my fatal mistake. I bought Gutter originally just to play because I had Butchers and Fishermen at the time. And I was like, oh, this will work for both teams. I'll just buy this model. And then I went and I bought Decimate. I was like, Decimate looks awesome. I'll play with my Butchers. And then I went and looked at the starter set, and I was like, I could have just bought the starter set for like $5, basically at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't have Butchers anymore.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if you look at it,
models. Well, one useless model.
Like a standard player, a standard 30 mil player is what, like 14 something,
bucks.
Right?
Yeah. So I ended up spending like
$14.
Almost $45 on 3 models without a ball, and I could have spent like $40.
and the starter is $35.99, right? So
yeah, I think
so if you need the other 2 models, you don't need the captain. The captain's only costing you like $6.
Yeah, and but now it's costing me more.
So I did the math, and I was like, "What? I'm spending $6 for Blackheart. That's fine." And I used my my Brookhurst points for it, so that's cool. And I didn't feel as bad buying it too because they had multiple Union starters. Because I'm trying to be conscious of that too. Because the product is just trickling in over here, and I don't want to be like the guy that bought, my 6th Guild Ball team while somebody's like, oh man, I really want to start Union, and they try to find the starter and it's not there. Like, never mind, I'm never trying your game now.
Yeah, that's true. That's a unique scenario. Where it's like you don't want to devour your own product because that's a potential player that you cost.
So I'm 1 otter and 1 snake away from 2 subpar lineups, but they look fun. My fish lineup looks fun. It's starter, gutter, snakeskin. That should be pretty fun. That might actually be able to win a few games.
Hey man, the player wins the game, not the teams, bro.
Cool. All right. Well,
that's my naive yet inspiring statement.
The player wins the the game, not the teams.
Yeah, I mean it's partially true, but it's also partially not.
Yeah.
Like you can play a garbage team.
I do think that Guild Ball does, more than a lot of other games, does not suffer from being so list dependent. Obviously, yeah, you want to build a list, you want to build your team to match your strategy.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like most army-based games where you can min-max and spam units and stuff. You can still reasonably put together a play with models that are just compatible. Yeah. I don't think it quite suffers the same thing.
I think there's really strong models that from a competitive standpoint you might be Shank is one that comes to mind where it's if you're playing Butchers without Shank, you're probably playing a slightly less optimal version of Butchers, but that's not to say that you can't win if you don't play Shank in your team. And you can easily win a tournament without Shank. In fact, it's been done, so anything's possible.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Well, it is past 11:30. I'm now done with these two models and the ball. So I am going to call it. I'll snap a little photo of this and post it.
No, that one's mine.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, let's look at guess.
So, it's going to do
that's a rad model.
A fancy little mask on him, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Hey, there's a question. Would you put Union models in Masons? The way I've been playing, so I played for the first, I don't know, six or 7 weeks of Masons without just pure guild, just no Union, and I only started adding Union in the past week or so. I think you're good to put 1 or maybe 2 in. You're actually your optimum is probably 1 Union model in there. I don't know. What do you think, Callan?
With my Masons, I'm pretty comfortable going guild only, and I think they're one of the best factions to go guild only. They can do it pretty comfortably and be very good. If you want to play them, then yes, I think Decimate's probably the highest played Union edition to Masons, but other than that, I would say that they are if you're one of those people that's do I have to play them to be competitive? The answer is no, and if it's could I play them and still be competitive? It's yes. So I mean I think you can't go wrong, but I would say that they're a very good straight guild faction.
Yep. So he's saying, so it really is a synergy team. Yeah, for sure it is. One thing I'll say though, when I was playing pure guild Masons, as you got outside the core 3 or 4, maybe 4 players, then synergies became a little less important. That's why I'm saying I have that 6th. I would say I have that 6th spot that I'll put Chazelle in, and she doesn't have direct synergies with the rest of the team, so pulling her out doesn't lose me a whole lot in terms of synergies. If I pull Mallet out of that lineup, then I really feel it. So it's different, pulling her out as opposed to pulling a Mallet out or Flint. You can actually play. I don't even want to say it out loud. Yes. You can't actually play Masons without Flint. It hurts your heart a little bit, but yeah, you can do it. He doesn't bring synergy. He's just so damn useful that you wanna give him the other players' synergies. But but like I'm saying, like as you go outside of the core 3, maybe 4, you'll have a spot open, and that's where like a Decimate can go in, because Decimate will give you like some blinding speed on a team that can double activate, which is cool. And then like we're saying, it's a good armor piercing model as well. Okay, so it really is a synergy team. Cool. Any other questions before we close out here?
Oh yeah, what is your starting lineup? Because we gave you our Martusians ones, but I never what is your like core?
Oh no, I wasn't going to tell you because I just want to.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I mean I just think if you have a Masons player here, he's probably interested in hearing what you play.
Yeah. So my Masons lineup is Honor Marbles, Mallet, Flint, and then it's Mallet, Flint, Brick, and then that last spot, like I said, is either going to be Chisel, Harmony, and then maybe that Union player. So Decimate will probably climb her way up into the 6th spot, but that's the spot I usually play with, is that last spot. Chisel, so it's either Chisel, Harmony, or Decimate. The other 4 I'm pretty comfortable keeping in most of the time.
Makes sense.
So let's see. Actually, Fish player, but I was looking at Masons or Butchers with Union. Yeah, for sure. If you're going to play Masons, yeah, for sure that's a team that you can play them pure guild and do well. My joke with Fish players is I tell Fish players is you have 6 people on the field that all wish they were Flint. Let's see, or Butchers with Union. Yeah. I accidentally bought my Butchers team. Now I'm looking forward to actually trying them. I never thought I'd be interested in that team, but with Philip coming out, and I really like the Butchers models. The aesthetic is awesome.
Yeah, I think their Season 2 captains sold me on wanting to get them as well. Also, I actually really like their models. I actually think they have cool models. But yeah, I think the initial was like, well, they're just like the Killy team, but they have other options. They're gonna be fun, especially in Season 2. So I'm anxious to see what Veteran Brisket's like.
Yeah,
I think she could be really cool.
You think that is that a rumor, or has that actually been
that's been announced?
Been leaked? Oh, yeah. Nice. Veteran Brisket. Holy crap. Brisket already like one of my favorite looking models on the Butchers. So that'll be cool. Nice. I'm still waiting for the announcement. Like, are we gonna get Veteran Harmony or what? That's what I'm waiting for.
Right the wrongs, Veteran Harmony.
Gangs of New York look, yeah. In fact, that's what what's his name, Matt Hart was talking about. That he's that they have a influence. They love the aesthetic of Gangs of New York, and that's where you get like some of the Union look.
Rage, especially.
Models like that. Yeah, I think Rage is like the quintessential Gangs of New York model.
He is Bill the Butcher. Like that's actually who he is.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, I think that we're pushing on here. Corey, are you done for the night?
I mean, I'm just finishing up his mask and then I'm done. But yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, any last thoughts here before we sign off?
If you're not playing, you should be.
It's a good thought.
And if you're not going to the noob tournaments to be a positive influence, you should be.
Exactly.
Good. And yeah, and for you guys out in OC, come on down to Esports Arena on Saturday and Sunday this weekend, 120 West 5th Street. So it's in the middle of downtown. It's gonna look, it looks like a weird building on the outside. Don't be afraid. Just go inside. It'll be fun. So we're gonna be playing Guild Ball, Super Dungeon Explorer, and Ninja All Stars, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So, all right.
One last thing.
Hope to see you guys there.
I hate to do this to you. What was the pricing for the Guild Ball tournament?
we are. It's a bronze level package, so it's going to be one of the yet to be released captains, and there's going to be there's a starter set in there, and there's going to be some cool patches and stuff. So
sweet.
That's
awesome.
That's what we're looking at.
Well,
Alrighty.
as someone that's coming down there for fun, I will up the ante, and I have one copy of each of the new unreleased, and I will donate that to your prize pool as well.
Holy crap! Wow. Okay, it just got real. You guys better show up.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, much appreciated.
I wasn't thinking about going, but now that he says that.
So I'm just gonna pocket Hammer when you show up, and you're like, I don't know where he went. Like somebody went, I don't know, man. He's just gone. Anyway, so that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks, Callan. That's really awesome. I'll announce that on the event page to try to drum up some more attendance. Be cool.
No problem, man. Anything to make the event better, I'm all for.
Nice. Alrighty, guys. So that's gonna do it for this video. Want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope to see you this weekend, guys. Have a good one.